What's up, Star Guardians? Welcome to the seventh and final week of the Mythic Esports Stridebreaker Series Season 2. All of us holding our breath, the teams jockeying for position as our regular season draws to a close. Tonight's matchup features the needlessly large rods trying to hang on to fourth place, going up against those who sit on wards, who are sitting just above them in third. That must be where the wards are, I suppose. My name is Crewman. Joining me on the casting couch this evening is Way, a couple of old hats dusting off the vocal cords tonight. So please bear with us, folks. But I am very, very excited to be back and to be casting with you once again. How are you doing tonight, Mr. Way?
It's actually kind of crazy because I think one of my last casts I did over here was actually with you. I think you were the last one that we casted together.
Well, I
And
think you.
now I'm back in business and here we are. I heard that we needed some guys to talk about these crazy teams that were showing up, fighting for playoff spots. And I think this match is probably one of the more important matches coming up too recently because we know playoffs are right around the corner and there is still some spots in contention. So besides most things are kind of locked up as far as who's making the playoffs, except Pref No Leash is currently right now, this very night, at the same time that we're talking about these two teams, fighting to take out Needlessly Large from fourth place. Now, if Needlessly Large does go 2-0 in this series today, they will be locked in for fourth place for certain. At least fourth place, if not, maybe even switching between ward sitters for third. So we're gonna kind of have to see how that's gonna play out. And the other team, it's kind of tough if you don't get that 2-0 and you're not sure you're gonna make it a playoff series, and it makes it really tight. If it will come down to a tiebreaker between stats, if that is the case. But it looks like we are heading into the draft.
Yes, quite right there, Mr. Way. Division 1 here in the Stridebreaker series. It's not quite as closely contested as Division 2 in terms of the standings, but there is still that fourth place spot up in the air. It is, of course, only the top 4 teams that do move into that postseason. So needlessly large rods do have their destiny in their own hands, as you just illustrated. So they're going to be doing everything in their power here tonight to try and lock down that fourth and final spot in the playoffs. But into the draft, as you say, Mr. Way, and it's actually going to be the Vi hitting the bench first this time around. I do love to see that Vi is meta. I am a little bit sad because my Vi build doesn't actually work anymore, but she is I still have a soft spot for the Vi.
Yeah, so Vi is like, she brings an unstoppable to the table. So in the same sense that like Hecarim does, or like Malphite does. But the nice thing about her Unstoppable is that she also has some very strong early game ganks that she can pull off. She can maybe pressure the enemy jungler as well. So I think maybe Javi maybe not wants to deal with that. Wants to keep it simple and not have to worry about something that could lock down whatever team fighting potential they have. So they're gonna opt to get rid of these big team fight / dive characters that might stop early mid game. That seems to be the focus right now.
Yeah, definitely. Aatrox, another one of those champions that's fairly proficient at diving into that back line. And it's going to be the Akali as well. So that's another diver. I do believe you may be onto something there, Way. Sitting on wards, not wanting to deal with any of those kind of backline threats. Hoping to potentially play a little bit of a more slow, drawn-out front-to-back kind of team fight style. We'll just have to wait and see.
There's quite a few picks that are still open. I mean, I definitely, if they play Seraphine, the Seraphine flex pick, first pick is always an option, right? And then that leads you directly to what will eventually be your teamfight oriented comp. And it looks like the die has been cast as I brought it up. They were already insta-locking it. And the discount Seraphine ultimate picked up on the other side by Nancy Large with the Renata.
Oh, man, it's like you never even took a break there, Way. You're already calling the whole draft. Like he never even left. So the Renata in here, as you say. The Yone going to be locked in as well for Carbon there in the mid lane. I do believe that mid laner over there for the needlessly large rods is somebody to be keeping our eye on. He is the highest ranked player on the team, for what it's worth.
I do definitely like... So basically, in my matches, what I've always said is that you have to be very cognizant of Seraphine. She lives rent-free in every draft, especially at the start. When you know Seraphine's on the table, if it's not something you're going to pick or you're going to ban, then you have to be thinking, okay, how do we counter the comp? I really like Renata Yone here because Yone is going to be like, okay, I'm your big late game team fighter. You pick the Renata up as well because it gives you that extra bit of insurance. If he gets charmed, if he gets the encore goes off on him, he still has that second chance. And with good use of his spirit form, he can actually reposition himself and hopefully get that kill off at the same time. But the Senna and the Ornn, they're definitely putting all their eggs into the team fight basket.
Yeah, they definitely are, but it is a pretty sturdy basket that they've constructed for themselves so far. The Ornn is renowned here in the Stridebreaker series, here in the Mythic Esports League, for being a very high priority top laner. Very nice big front line there. And the Senna, of course, one of the strongest scaling characters in the game. As we do progress, going to just get an incredibly absurd amount of range. And then the Kalista getting thrown down here by the Rod. So that is very interesting, kind of going a little bit all in on the early game here towards the bottom side.
Yeah, I think it goes a little bit, obviously you have to watch out for the Rend very early on with that Kalista. The Renata throwing some team fight potential in there, and obviously it's going to be able to take down the Ornn if the Ornn gets ahead. But at the same time, if Senna gets ahead to some point, Kalista cannot really engage very well. But I think that's the Yone's job later on in the game. So I do like putting the pressure on the bot lane a little bit with something pseudo-aggressive. I wouldn't mind even picking a pole character too to punish the Seraphine. But this way with the Renata and the Kalista, you kind of you hedge your bets. You're like, okay, we can still team fight and we can still early game a little bit as well. So I definitely love that idea that they're going for. The only thing is that if you're sitting on wards, like there's no way you don't have, if you're Senna here, there's no way you don't bring both and or cleanse and QSS at the same time. So that's going to mitigate the Renata, I think, at some point.
Definitely. Although, I do agree with you. I do expect the cleanse to come through here. I think maybe there's an argument for just trying to play with enough range to where you can try and avoid those skill shots, those handshakes, those Renata ultimates from hitting you. But I do think the cleanse would probably be ill-advised. But one thing, or well-advised, I should say. But one thing that I want to touch on here, Way, is that the needlessly large rods did select red side. They had side selection here, and they went for the red side. So I want to draw our attention towards this last pick, counter pick that we are coming up on here. It does appear to be for the top laner, for Stupid here, for the side of NLR. And I want to see them hopefully get some good value out of their side selection.
So I've heard Mordekaiser has been a pretty strong pick throughout the season, and of course Aatrox being a very good team fighter. Wukong actually coming out for sitting on boards. I imagine that's probably going to Javi as they took away the Sejuani, and that also brings a lot of team fighting capability. I actually... Ooh, okay, and the Vex. So they have a lot of ways to kind of stop the Yone, which is very good. If you have enough lockdown for the Yone, and you have the range, as long as Senna never gets caught out, that should be pretty clean for your team. I think they have it in the bag if the game goes late enough to mid-game, late game, and Senna has it. But the Silas pick, that's another one of those anti-Seraphine picks, right? And there's so many good ults here to pick from Silas. So he's not just locked down into that team fighting ult. Oh, well, I mean, brother, it's not just that team fighting ult. It's the other three, like dealing with the Ornn ult engage, perhaps, and then a Yone on top of that with the Sejuani ult. Like I said, if they touch this Senna, and their team fight doesn't completely fall apart, but that is a vast majority of their damage. I don't think they're going to be able to burst the rest of the team members far enough. And now they've shown that they have a lot of capability to team fight. It actually could go either way.
Okay, that last pick, Silas, of course, brought to you by our sponsors, guys, Pro Comps and Rift School. If you want to learn how to 5-head that last pick, Silas counter pick, just like NLR do, make sure you get on there with Pro Comps so that you can learn all about it. But Way, who's actually going top lane here for the large rods?
For the large rods, well, we have it between probably Yone and Silas, right? Unless we do something crazy.
I mean, it could be, yeah, because Sejuani is really the only jungler here. I mean, I think Silas probably could jungle, but he probably shouldn't jungle. So yeah, either the Silas or the Yone. But I mean, who do you think does better into the Ornn? If Silas is getting fifth picked here, like where is he going?
So we originally thought that Silas was probably ban out for top lane,
Right.
I guess. On the other side, sitting on wards definitely thought it was top lane with the ban of the Mordekaiser in the set, right? That they were worried about for the
Right.
Ornn. They could still send Yone up there and farm. I really tend to like putting Yone in the mid lane more and letting Silas play
Mhm.
the top. He'll never die against the Ornn unless there's a Wukong gank happening, and even then, he has a pretty with the dash. It's pretty hard for Ornn to force anything on him, basically. So I think if we're going to go for safety, we put the Silas up top. It's kind of similar to like the Malphite Silas matchup, but not as bad. Where basically they both farm up, but then Silas is just a tad bit more useful towards the mid game, and he has that potential to just like start taking the game away once he starts getting first, second item in. So that's where I would put it, and I don't think that
Okay.
the Vex going mid lane would be too much of a problem. But yes, Newman mentioned it. This is the pro comps telling us the strategy underlying. So what are we looking at here?
Let's see. What does pro comps have to say for us? Blue side seems to be maybe a little bit more well-rounded, definitely. On the team fighting side of things, lots of engage for both sides here, according to pro comps. Lots of pick for the red team. I guess that's sort of a reference to the glacial prison coming out from the Sejuani, and of course the Yone also does have that capability to engage and catch out targets from a comically far distance.
Yeah, I think that the split is they kind of got it right here, right? With the red team having more ability to split. Like there's nothing crazy, but it's just the fact that they have team members that you can't solo, basically. You put Silas and Yone in a lane, and it's like, all right, we have to send Wukong and maybe someone else to deal with them. So
Hmm.
they've slightly won in that splitting for me. And mostly I do think this is gonna come down to team fighting, but the siege just looks a little stronger, I
Yes.
think, with the maybe it's because of the range of the Senna and the sustain that they have in general for team fighting that they can just walk up, take a tower hit pretty easily. Kind of
Yeah,
interesting one to me.
I definitely think it is a little bit debatable. There's definitely, at first glance, there's more range on the side of the blue team, right? Of course, but the engage tools from the red team actually are fairly long range as well. So, since Senna is in the game, we do have to default to the Senna team and give them the range advantage. But the red team certainly does have some tools here that they can use to close the gap, that they can try and throw
Yeah,
a wrench in that plan, and play at some ranges that maybe they're a little bit more comfortable with, the Yone and the Silas
yeah,
specifically.
yeah. So a couple things that I'm seeing already throughout this draft that I think are going to be pivotal. I've already mentioned that Senna getting online earlier is going to matter a lot for for their team, of course. But on the other side, we have Yone and Silas, and either one of these characters getting ahead or putting the Senna behind by getting your Callista, Renata ahead. Those are all going to be big factors that can swing the game immediately. The other thing is that in team fights, there's so many things that Senna has to be worried about at some point. You have to be worried about the Sejuani pick. You have to be worried about Silas taking a Seraphine or Wukong ult getting on top of you. You have to be sure as well. You don't want to get berserked. Getting berserked is actually worse than being CC'd at
Hmm.
Senna because then you just kill your own teammates.
True,
And
true.
if Ornn gives you an item, that item can be used against your team very easily. So
Mm.
all these things, the one thing that I think is kind of lacking, in my opinion, from Blue Team's draft is the burst damage, right? Because we
Sure.
have Wukong and we have a little bit from Vex, and outside of that, I don't see them doing a lot of burst. So if Senna is not alive to DPS these characters, if Silas or Yone are in a fight for a long time and they don't have, remember, ever since Grievous Wounds has been reduced a lot by like basically 5-10% across all the items, it's been very hard to get these high lifesteal items characters to basically drain them down and be able to finally burst them down. And with this comp, you're going to have to be very careful about how you use your CC because you don't have the innate fast damage burst. You're going to have to layer a
Right.
Wukong ult onto the Vex getting a fear into the Seraphine ult. And it's going to be very difficult to pull off this because there are so many team fight elements that you're going to have to watch out for.
That's a great point, Way. I'm loving what you're putting down there. The team fights are going to absolutely have to be very carefully constructed and very deliberately fought out here from the side of sitting on wards. They're going to need to make sure that they protect the Senna Seraphine and allow them to continue to output that DPS on those priority targets because they are lacking that burst, as you say. Vex does have a little bit of burst, especially if she gets ahead. She can definitely be bursting people out, but also on the side of needlessly large rods, I feel like a lot of these champions are just not necessarily all that burstable.
Yeah.
Yone, if you CC him for long enough, like I guess he doesn't build a lot of HP or resistances, like maybe you could burst him down, but he's probably going to have like a shield bow.
At least a shield
He's
bow,
going to
right?
have so much healing. Like it's just not that easily done. So it really is going to be all about that same DPS. And if you're trying to have a team fight where you need some same DPS and your Senna gets hit by a Glacial Prison or a Yone ultimate, it's just not really going to work out for you very well.
It's going to be harder for him to back for the Senate too, because everyone on the side of, having a Yone and the Silas flanking you is such a big threat. If you do not know where they are on the map at all times, you have to always be worried about that. And there's only so many ways you have to stop them. Yeah, Seraphine ult can hit 5 members potentially, but I think that if Red Team plays this one out correctly, that there's never going to be an opportunity for something like that to arise. But I'm putting a lot of credit to these players. We'll see if these players are really going to play it out the way that I'm making it out to be. For all we know, this could be the most chaotic thing. We could have one ult go down on one person and not just charge like a chain war of us like deciding to send more people over into the fight. And then like suddenly what was like a Baron call ended up being a dragon taken by the opposite team 5 minutes later, and the Baron was never finished. We can never know how these fights are going to play out. These are just some ideas if the conditions are met. And I'm going to tell you that these conditions are very fragile. We're going to see how these guys are able to pilot and figure out their way into the mid game, because in any case, for us to get to the team fights, we have to figure out how we're going to get past the laning phase. And there's a lot of threats to deal with.
Yeah. Definitely the case. As you well know, Way, draft is one thing. We could sit around here and talk about this all day, but what really matters is how all these champions are piloted on the Rift. Before we jump into game one, Way, let me get a prediction from you. Whose draft do you like better? Who do you think is going to take this first game?
I think that you picked... I don't know if they're going to pull this off, but I actually have so far really liked Needless's draft and not making it so contingent on things. They put so many eggs in random places, and if they get any one person ahead, it can spell doom if not dealt with properly. I think that the execution test will work out for them. I like the way they played the draft. The anti-Seraphine champions are there. They have the tools. They just have to use it correctly.
Okay, maybe a little bit just too much snowball potential on the side of needlessly large rods. Looking to take down the third place team's team fighting composition over here from red side. Don't go anywhere, folks. It's week 7 Stridebreaker series right after this.
Everybody panic. Hold on. I'm about to say something really cool. 3, 41, 9, and lift off! No one dies screaming without me. I feel like I forgot to shoot something. You're starting to bore me. She's such a loser, always ready to cry. Ah, come on. What's the worst that could happen?
Welcome onto the Rift for game 1 of tonight's best of 3. Sitting on wards on the blue side, needlessly large rods taking up positions on the red. Looks like a pretty conservative opening from both of our squads here for the first game way.
Yeah. Okay, so we are seeing the Yone hovering top and the Silas actually going mid lane. So I guess they prefer those matchups instead. Maybe those character picks. Okay, Galleon walking up, yeah. Getting some fighting a little bit for vision and some love taps going down.
Vision advantage though for the Sejuani. Got that ward down in the pixel brush.
Yeah. And not being taken is, a pretty big deal. You don't get a wave getting a minion ahead on XPS. Definitely definitely something that I've flamed my support over and bot lane before. So
of course.
Good to see everything is going to be above the belt as far as our lanes goes. So you only have yourself to blame and whatever wards you didn't place yourself.
Now, vision advantage taken by the side of sitting on wards now. As the name suggests, they've got that warding game down pretty well. Fridge able to get a deep one down onto the enemy Raptor camp. Although the side of Galleon should be aware that that ward is present next to his chickens. So he can choose to work around that information if he so wishes. Ooh, sneaky. Seraphine E not going to connect, though.
So many threats around the board. The Silas pick going mid lane is a little more dangerous, in my opinion. Keep it a little risque.
Why is that way?
I just think it's such a much safer lane to put them with the Ornn instead. Like, you have the opportunity to kill Vex, but more than likely he's going to poke you out. I mean, I guess you could say the same for Yone going mid lane, but if you take Fleet Footwork, it might be a little easier. But this Yone is definitely going to be looking for some fights.
Yeah, I mean, that's the one thing that Yone does have, right, is that that Soul Unbound that we were just taking a look at just now. It does allow him to harass relatively safely and, able to pop back towards his body if any junglers are incoming.
Yeah.
So, we'll see how Stupid plays it up there on the Yone if he's able to keep himself safe. Ooh, that's going to be Cheddar getting a handshake that he didn't necessarily want any part of. The flash forward for the Rend, and that's going to be first blood coming through for Avarusi. Agassi in some trouble now. He's trying to run, but there's a lot of spears, and this pop star, he will flash away and just barely cling to life. But that is the first kill going over to the Callista.
And the wave there didn't even matter. I mean, the wave wasn't in perfect position right there, but still, this is the threat of having the Callista in your lane. You have to always be cognizant of that ability to just run you down at a moment's notice. And they did not, unfortunately, play it safe enough. They did not respect that Callista all-in potential with the wave. And now they pay for it in gold and in blood. Senna, I mean, it's fasting Senna, so they're still going to get gold. But look at this. Look at the wave state.
Ooh.
It's terrible.
It's pretty bad, although it does look like the Callista is kind of pushing it out here. Oh, Carbon's going back in. Both junglers are here. A flash away for the Silas. Is he able to keep himself alive? Decomposition, not able to get out another spell. And it's going to be Carbon going back in for the kill, but both mid laners will drop. Now the junglers fighting it out in mid lane. Sejuani needs one more auto to land the Frostbite there. Does get it, but can't chase the monkey into tower range. It will be a 1-for-1 in the mid lane.
Yep, showing that dominance, making sure you can push it up and less. But no, I think it'll just relax a little bit unless she overstays for that Wukong to maybe go for another trade. I love the synergy right there, actually. Going for...
Oh, back in! Oh, no. It was the Arctic Assault just gave Wukong a little boop right there. And Sejuani able to knock him down.
Beautiful. So the teamwork from the Sejuani and the Silas actually worked beautifully. He was just barely able to get the heal off in time with that stun, and that was what sealed the deal. They are showing that putting that Silas mid is letting them do some nice ganks with the Sejuani. So I will expect to keep my eye on that. So far, they have quite a lead going around the entirety of the Rift. I mean, Yone is about even CS, but besides that, they have to worry about where the Sejuani is going to be ganking next.
Absolutely, Sejuani pretty potent in terms of ganks, as we have already seen, of course.
Oh, and when she gets ahead.
First early kill, yeah, absolutely. Already with that Bomby Cinder completed, gonna just be flying through that jungle. And here we see her taking another look in mid. Decomposition has the fear, able to get that onto the Silas. The Arctic Assault does connect, and that means the chains follow-up is perfect. And that's Galleon and Carbon just making it look too easy.
Yep. Vex you know, not having the most mobile of mid lanes here against Talos. They thought they could bully them out, but the early fight taken by needlessly large was just too large for them to handle. So
Very nice.
now I mentioned these snowball threats, and I don't know. It's already starting. How do we stop
it?
this?
It is. That's a great question there, Way. You're the color guy. You're supposed to be answering the questions, not asking them. God dang it. But here, let me see. How would we stop this? I mean, you've got your scaling still with the Senna. You know, Wukong is not in a terrible place right now. He's actually up a little bit over at camp. So, I mean, maybe, honestly, one thing that we haven't really touched on yet, the first dragon is alive on the map, and for a snowball-y composition, such as the one being piloted by the needlessly large rods, generally speaking, when you find your lead like this, you really want to try and... Okay, are we okay down here? That's going to be a handshake. It's the double stun, but Callista had already given up on the play, and now it's going to be Rule 34 in some trouble here. Burning down to the Ignite, has the bailout. He's actually just barely going to be able to keep himself alive. Cheddar turns around for the last auto attack, but he's not able to get it off in time. And it's going to be the Senna going down once again. This Callista lane continuing to find more advantages, and the lead continuing to grow for the needlessly large rods.
Yep, and that's going to be the dragon. I was going to say, you know, parallel to what you're talking about with the dragon, that if they can stall the dragon out for long enough, they can handshake Rift instead, and then maybe generate a lead through that. But now it's going to be looking a lot more difficult. Yeah. So it is... Oh, it puts them in such a tough position where now they have to find anything they can to cling to life. And it looks like they're going to be singing Cheddar around to... I don't know if it's collect souls or maybe just look for anything.
Still only level 4 on the Senna, but that is going to be the Cyclone that will lock down the Silas. That's going to be a shutdown, actually. Quite a lot of gold going into the pockets of decomposition on that Vex.
I actually really like that roam, too, because there was nothing in the wave to wait for. After the Dragon, Callista still had the opportunity to just re-dominate lane, and the wave wasn't in a great state. So making use of those rotations on the map is one way you can start generating your lead.
Yeah, definitely. Cheddar trying to make something happen here. Bot lane hasn't been going super well, but able to find an assist for himself there in the mid.
I just kind of thought that, you know, Yone having lethal tempo in this fight top lane would mean that we're going to see a lot more battling up here. But
yeah. Well, Fridge did rush the Warden's Mail, so that is going to stop a lot of what Yone is trying to do here.
It feels like the skirmishes they have, you know, it's like that one The Boss clip where he's just like fighting for like 5 minutes and finally get a kill. It's kind of what it feels like to me. It feels like they've been fighting, but it's like...
a really nice Bellows breath there from Fridge to immune the Q3 knockup.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice disjoint. Like, I really don't think that any of these fights are going to end up a kill. Like, it just... They're just going to continue sustaining through each other. Warren's got that. Warden's Mail, as you mentioned, Hunter's Potion. He's content, I guess, to take a little bit of CS deficit if it means that he doesn't give Yone any kills. And I like the idea.
Oh, yeah.
It's just I don't see your lane getting any help anytime soon at the same time. I mean, unless Wukong hits 6, I don't think you have any ability to kill the Yone. So the only other thing is a possible fight with, you know, Senna coming up for maybe a Rift. But that time looks to have gone and passed.
Yes, indeedy. Rift Herald already down to about 50%. Stupid with this top lane priority, going to allow his mid laner and jungler to very comfortably secure that objective. Second neutral of the game for the large rods. They're going to be feeling pretty good about that. Oh, here comes Call of the Forge God, though. Fridge is going to go for a little bit of a play. He doesn't know that the Sejuani and the Silas are here, and he's going to have a very unfortunate searing charge. He's going to try to flash away, and he will actually survive. Stupid and Galliant's not willing to continue the chase. I guess already maybe used too many cooldowns, and the Ornn is lucky to walk away from that one.
Actually, these rotations are pretty good from both sides. I do like not over-chasing a kill, especially when we saw on the ward that Senna is coming up too. You don't want to potentially give them a big swing factor when you're already ahead, you know? Just take your small wins and convert it into your bigger lead that you know you're going to have.
Yeah, absolutely. But at the same time, though, you know, we were discussing the state of that top lane a little bit earlier. Oh, Syra is getting extreme. Oh, the Fate's call, though. Goes back in. Oh, the Renata just went back in and just gets popped by the Seraphine. Meanwhile, in mid lane, Carbon Platinum's going to run out of HP. So will the Wukong. It's a 1-for-1 to start things off here. Fear comes down. Galliant going to get rooted up, flashing away, trying to stay alive with the piercing darkness. will continue to find its mark. The Sejuani will fall. It's another shutdown in the pockets of the Vex. The decomposition starting to get pretty strong here. Fights maybe continuing towards this bottom side. I'm not sure why we're watching Ornn not die. Okay, looks like Callista's also.
Yeah, that's not gonna happen. If there's anything we've shown is that they are content to handshake a farm.
Hopping forward aggressively there. Avorusi does not have a support. Still moving forward. We'll be safe though.
Yeah. All right. Well, bot lane's done a good. I mean, if you can't survive the bot lane, you know, roam around. Dangchetta is behind a bit. I think they recently just got level 6, so they still are probably behind quite a bit of gold, but getting all of these assists on the shutdowns and picking up some souls from mid lane, these are going to be there to skyrocket. I think they have the right idea where they're not really winning their lanes where they want to be, so they're just going to be more focused on bringing that team fight potential in sooner rather than later, even if there's no objectives on the map. Of course, I would have loved to see them try to contest maybe Rift a little faster, but, you know, it's okay. We still have some more opportunities. We're not actually that far behind. They're only what, 0.2 gold difference between the teams?
Yeah. The gold difference, pretty insignificant at the moment. You know, Vex able to pick up those couple of kills. Some nice bounty gold in her pockets. Is going to tidy up that gold difference quite a bit. Yone going to continue to auto-attack the brick wall up here, known as Fridge. 10 seconds on Drake number 2. Oh, that's going to be a Glacial Prison, though, onto the Vex, and that is a lot of CC. It is, in fact, too much CC, as the Vex will drop here for the 3rd time in this game. Man advantage now for the side of the needlessly large rods. Right as the dragon spawns is a Hextech Drake, is our 2nd one here in this first game. They're dropping the Rift Herald mid for priority. Gonna be able to get the plates from that one. Javi going in on the Wukong, immediately has to flash out. Sheda now getting engaged on. Wukong's still there to try and do a little bit of frontlining, but they just don't have it in the tank way. They just don't have it. Oh, Zyra almost going down, forced to flash away from that 2nd proc of damage from the Seraphine Q, but it is the side of the large rods winning out in the fight. Oh, but Bridge is here. He has his ultimate. Here comes Call of the Forge God. Gonna find the knockup on a 2. And the Dragon finishes off the Renata Galleon extremely low. And he will drop as well. It's 2 kills picked up now for the Ward Sitters. Make that 3. And they are able to once again bring that gold right back to even. And they'll be able to tie us up in Dragons as well.
Yeah, just back and forth, back and forth. They kind of bided their time really well. Wukong knew, like, it's okay, amputate the arm, the Vex is dead. We can get him on the Ornn, rotate, because the Yone is doesn't have TP advantage right there. So a really good rotation. They're going to lose quite a bit of plating's topside, but I think fighting for that dragon was probably worth it at the end of the day.
Yes, I think so. I think it definitely was. Able to tie up that dragon. Count is going to deny, right, that extremely fast soul snowball that was kind of being threatened by this composition from the large rods, especially with an Infernal Soul. You know, if you're down 2-3 dragons to none with Infernal Soul on the table, you're feeling the heat on that one for sure.
Against Yone Silas? No, no shot. You're coming back.
Yeah. But so I think definitely very important that they're able to pick up that objective, and we are still looking at a very, very close game number 1 here.
Yep. It's close, and that's kind of what makes me worried, because that means it being close means the tension is very high, because these next few team fights could make or break either side. The snowball is, you know, getting closer and closer to fruition, and so now is the time for sitting on wards to step up their play, get some more damage. It seems like every fight that they are dictating the pace of, that they are doing well in. So if they can keep doing that, if they can maintain good spacing, good positioning, take the fights where they want them, get the enemy team grouped up, hits, like we're seeing.
Composition in with the Vex ultimate. Silas flashing away and is able to make his way underneath the turret and stay alive. Good attempt there from Decomposition, but just not quite enough lockdown. Silas able to sneak away with Flash.
Yep. If they get these picks in, especially before these fights, it makes it so much easier not to have to deal with that
Javi dashing in, has his W for a little bit of repositioning there, but still going to get hit by the Glacial Prison, and now no mobility left. Oh, just barely short there, was stupid on that Yone ultimate, but Javi will likely still drop here. Piercing Darkness heals him up a little bit. Arctic Assault is blocked. The Wukong is still alive. Nobody can finish him off, and now Galleon is overextended with no support from the rest of his team, and that, I believe, for the first time this game, means that sitting on wards have the advantage in kill count.
Advantage in kill count and perhaps the advantage in gold soon to follow. They are picking up this rift and they can take down what might be first tower, but I do think bot tower is under a lot of pressure there from Renata Callista with only a Seraphine defending it and no one else. So,
it's pretty healthy still.
Yeah, okay, it'll probably survive then. Yeah, so definitely good swing on them if they can keep this up.
That is the encore, and Renata is all out of minions. They're still underneath the tower. Avarusi's going to take like 3 tower shots there, but he will live. And they should be able to reset here pretty comfortably. Yeah. Hey, the Comet!
Oh, we thought.
Comet, the disrespect from Agassi is absolutely brutal there. Zyra goes down once again.
I didn't think AGSC was really that tanky, but I guess the item bot is not really strong enough for Callista to start to make those plays at all.
Oh no, is that? Oh, the cleanse. He's able to cleanse off the ignite, so he will survive. But Avarusi almost giving up another kill there. Loses both of his summoners to the Seraphine hide on bush play. Bridge now in a 1v2 situation, but he does have a tower. He's going to find the knock-up as well. Galleon now flashed away trying to stay alive. The Yone ultimate to try and cover for the jungler. Is Bridge going to be able to get the trade kill? No, he just barely will not be able to find it. So that is a kill picked up, a much-needed kill picked up by the large rods up there on top side as their bottom lane kind of goes a little bit to pieces.
Yep. They got the tower mid and top, I think, traded. Actually, what was first tower top side? I didn't catch that. But they have the gold lead now, so probably. Yeah, it does look like Neosea Large managed to pick up that first tower top side and thus are maintaining their ever so slight gold lead. But moving into this dragon, once again, another pivotal point. The teams have done a very good job making everything close from what was like a 3 or 4-0 lead at the very beginning of the game for Neosea Large. But sitting on wards has managed to take back some of that momentum, and this is another one of those fights that could be a very big pivotal moment. We see Ornn with the inspirational spellbook picking up the TP so he can be a force to be reckoned with, perhaps being able to make the right play positionally. The Dragon Dance is starting, and it looks like the ritual will be, started over by Neosea Large, looking for that pick on Agassi.
Agassi going to find a Yone in a bush, and he's going to do a whole lot of damage, and that's going to be a dead Seraphine. Yep. There she goes. The Senna ultimate was a little bit too late there to save the life of his support. And that should be the Dragon now, going over to the large rods with the man advantage. No Seraphine, no Encore. That's such a powerful team fighting tool. Without it, this composition not going to be as effective, but they're going to try anyway. Call the Forge God comes out, but a little bit between the uprights there. Renata's going to get Fates called back, and that's the 2-man Yone ultimate. He finds the Senna in the backline. Cheta is able to flash away, though, and keep himself alive, but that is going to be the jungler dropping first. And without a front line, the Senna has nothing left. There's nothing she can do. Cheta will get cut down as well. And the kill advantage goes right back in the hands of the large rods. They're going to be able to pick up the dragon here as well.
I think it should have really been a message to them whenever they were down a man that we didn't need to continue fighting. Especially after we dropped the Senna ultimate in vain, it was kind of over. We saw the Renata, which is one of the squishiest members on their team, was not able to be taken down with the 4-man CC chain that happened. Even getting the reverse ultimate off ended up paying dividends because now, even though the Dank Shadow managed to barely avoid the Renata Glass ultimate, now your team is like stuck, can't really front the back for you, and you barely get clipped by the Yone ults, definitely taking the fight right there. And that is that moment where we were suddenly at a 1K gold deficit, and now we're looking at a 3K gold deficit. They have 2 dragons. It's starting to look a lot scarier.
Absolutely. Gold lead, definitely meaningful at this point for the large rods. You know, we see Yone closing in on that 2-item power spike. It will be the shield bow is his mythic of choice, combined with the Blade of the Ruined King. That's just a ridiculous amount of lifesteal decomposition. Up a little bit too far here. Soul Unbound, Fate Sealed, misses it, whips it under the tower. He will be able to finish off the Vex with the auto attacks. But the tower shots will make that a 1-for-1. Meanwhile, in the mid lane, the Encore is good. Blocks up 2 underneath the tower, but it's not enough because Sejuani was tanking. So he's able to eat those turret shots. They get the kill in mid, get a kill in bot, and the large rods continuing to enlarge their snowball.
If your team is not right there, right behind you, if you are Vex or Senna, you can never afford to step into tower range, into vision of the enemy team. The tower is not a character, okay? That does not matter. Sejuani is going to tank 7 tower shots and still get the ult off on you and allow the rest of the team to all position their, humongous AoE ults on top of you. You are going to die. If you ever are in vision and close by, within radius of the Sejuani ult, it will come in like a missile.
Indeed. Indeed, that is exactly what we just saw transpire there for Cheetah. And we talked about it even right from the draft way, how important the positioning was going to be for this Senna and this Seraphine. And, in the last few minutes, we've seen both of them get caught out a couple of times here. And their safety is so critical, for this composition, for it to be able to function. They really, if they want to be able to come back in this game, they're going to have to be very, very careful with their positioning in these next few fights. Stupid gonna once again find a Vex a little bit too far forward in the lane, and decomposition. Oh, he's able to just barely to survive there. Gets a fear off at the last second. One more auto attack is all that Stupid needed to secure another kill down there. Vex will survive for now.
I don't like trying to, like I said, having the Yone in the south and the side lane, who is really gonna stop them?
Okay, Call of the Forge God is getting used here. Only onto the Sejuani. Cyclone as well. Only onto that incredibly tanky jungler. He's going to hit the silence with it as well, but here comes Renata Glass. Oh, and the Fate. Oh, that Yone ultimate was disgusting. Absolutely obliterated sitting on wards. Completely ended the fight right there. Decomposition going to get cleaned up here as well. Sejuani extremely low. Going to take 1 tower shot too many, and will trade 1 back. But still, that felt like the dagger there.
Yep, that was a snowball officially seeing fruit, seeing it crash down, and it's like all those little things added up. It's like that saying, no snowflake is innocent in the face of an avalanche.
All right, we're gonna get another look at that one. Way, walk us through how the Forge God is getting used here. Only onto the Sejuani.
So basically,
as well. Only onto
although the lead has been happening, we have Javi going in. So many team fight ults are going down across the board, and I think that although Senna was able to position well, it just didn't matter. Her team drops like flies in the face of all these fed characters. The Yone being able to catch all these guys out, if you're not able to kind of basically, like I said before, dictate the fights, get your 5-man Seraphine ult. If you're only hitting one person with that ultimate, it doesn't matter that Renata is only hitting you. You can't start anything for your team, and then there's no space for Dengcheta to walk up. There's no space for Vex to live through a fight. It's just these chaotic fights are not what we need for Pro. We need very decidedly nice picks, or to make sure that we're getting a big teamfight wombo combo at this point.
I mean, the ultimates. Oh, that's a Glacial Prison onto the Senna. Cheetah. Oh, he flashes away. He stays alive. Javi diving into the backline to buy space for his AD carry. Still, everybody alive for now. Encore, decent onto 2. Sejuani activating the Stone Plate. Very tanky. The shield keeping her alive in the front line. Wukong trying to make his way out. Carbon diving a little bit far forward now. Gonna go golden, buy a little bit more time. The beat drop from the Seraphine is great. Gets the root onto 2. Is it gonna be sitting on wards winning this fight? No. The damage is just a little bit too strong. The walls are a little bit too heavy. The Rend finishes off the Wukong, and the Yone and the Callista are able to clean things up. It's only the Vex and the Seraphine left alive. No ultimate for either one of them. And this should be Infernal Soul Point secured for the side of the large rods. The Rend should be able to secure this pretty comfortably. There it is. Abarusi picks it up. Infernal Soul Point secured, and the gold lead is sitting at about 5,000.
That fight went almost as great as it could have gone for Prefon Wards, where they managed to keep everything front to back. They kept Dengcheta and Vex alive almost the entire time, and Yone was for some reason just fighting Ornn like they were doing in top lane. Like nothing has changed in the past 15 minutes, but that's top laners. And all of that was great for them, and they still were not able to burst down enough members. They still, the Yone with the shield bow, like you mentioned, popped off, started getting into the backline. As soon as he gets there, because the Wukong ult had to be burned so early on, because Dengcheta was a little caught out by that Glacial Prism. Like I said, you have to very clearly pick your fights. All because we had to play a kind of defensive fight from the start. That's not what you want to see. You don't want to see something where you have to waste these big team fight ultimates just to buy time for your AD carry to live. Like, they're not dealing damage the entire time. They're just trying to survive.
Right. Yeah, exactly right there, Way. You know, these team fight ultimates, as you were saying, exactly as you were saying, are so critical, you know, for this composition. And, you know, you have to be really careful. You have to be really deliberate as the side of sitting on wards about when you're fighting, how you're fighting, like what tools the other team has when you're going for this, like what's at stake. And it just really feels like they didn't come into this mid game with as much of a plan as they needed to have.
Yep, Infernal Soul point on the table. Senna, I would like to see the souls that Senna has on her, because item-wise, it's not looking too hot. We're looking at a Yone with boots and 3 items, and what do you got? You have you have the Amazon Payload, the cheapest item in the game. Not looking too great.
Yeah, it's definitely not Cheda's best game that we've ever seen from him.
I mean, they had some good roams. Well, okay. This Baron Call is maybe the one flip that is needed here.
But they could look for the turn. Their turn is very strong. I think they are looking for it. Glacial Prison comes out, but only connects onto the Ornn, not the target that you were looking for. Meanwhile, Yone is split pushing towards the bottom side. No teleport. I think the play was always, the angle was always turned there off of the Baron. They weren't able to find the fight that they were looking for, but they didn't lose anything, Way. So we are back to farming for now.
Back to neutral. I don't love them doing a team fight without Yone. I think that's feeding into your ego a little bit too hard, because what's winning in the fight is Yone getting into the backline. If Senna is living and Vex is living, and they're able to do damage.
A little bit of a fun fact for us here. Stupid on the Yone is currently 2 levels higher than the second highest level person in the entire game. Which is Decomposition on the Vex. And everybody else is level 13 or below. So he's actually 3 levels higher than almost everybody. And once again, the fear is just barely going to keep Decomposition alive, and that's going to be the flash away from Stupid. I'm not sure if he entirely needed to flash there, but I think he probably just wasn't sure if there were more people behind the Senna that were coming to catch him. So just rather safe than sorry on that one.
They don't have complete vision control. Like, there could have been a whole team literally right behind the Senna, even though you have quite a lot of the spot side river warded up, which is what you want to see as we're coming across Soul Point in 1:30. Both teams are about ready to prep for the Dragon Ritual dancing. You know, I always say that whatever team basically starts prepping the Dragon Rituals first, they have higher chance of being blessed with the good graces of getting that final hit onto the Dragon. So we'll see if that matters here, because Soul Point very well might end the game.
I think it pretty much will. I think that would be a very fair statement to make. And it looks like the side of Large Rods are looking to acquire those blessings for themselves. Set up pretty nicely here. Yone once again split pushing, but does have the teleport available this time around. And join at a moment's notice. That is going to be a lot of damage onto the Renata, and Zyra gets completely obliterated 40 seconds before the dragon spawns. Yone going to go ahead and burn the TP right now to join up with the rest of the squad. Still 30 seconds until the dragon makes its way onto the map. Maybe just feeling like there was a little bit more of a fight breaking out there than there actually was. Yone is here just a little bit early, and the man advantage for the side of sitting on wards now may mean that they can't actually go for this fight. Do you think... Wait, what do you think here? Is this a good call from the Large Rods that they should still go for this play?
No, absolutely. I think that they should back off and then just take the next Soul Point. You have nothing to lose by giving them this Dragon. Your team will be up by the time of the Baron, but I don't think this matters to them. They have the cojones. They're looking for it.
They're going to go for it for sure, yeah. They are going to go for it. Glacial Prison not available either, but they do have, of course, the Fate sealed, and Carbon has stolen away the Call of the Forge God, so that could be very impactful as well. Going to have to watch out for that stolen Ornn ultimate. Going to be flying out all rams all over the place. It's going to be a regular farm out here once this fight really breaks out. And nobody is doing anything right now. Renata has respawned and actually just walked back to the river, so it's a 5v5 now. And now everybody's just gonna press all of their buttons at once. And there's a gigantic fight happening. Javi has a Cyclone. He's getting a couple of knockups, but he will be the first casualty of this one. Bridge dives in with a C-Ring charge. And China is getting out some decent damage from the back line. Needs one more auto attack onto the silos, and he will find it. So that's a 1-for-1 now. Scoop it over the wall, is able to finish off the Yone, and there goes the rest of the front line. That should be team fight over. Oh, Vex goes back in with the ultimate. The Shadow Surge, able to pick up the Yone, the strongest member, but misses the second activation. Oh my, Vex gets another one. Vex gets the max shut down. Galleon now is going to drop as well. The bailout will not save him. And Zyra, now he was the first to die, and now he will be the last to die. Or maybe he won't die, it'll be just the dragon dying. But oh my god, Way, how did Setting on Words win that fight?
That was a riveting battle experience. There was so much going on. The chaos somehow ended up working in their favor. I don't understand what the focus was of NLR, or if there was any. But it seemed like every person, it was something like basketball, where like every person picked a person to be on, and it was like, oh, I'm defending you, I'm stopping you from getting in. Right. But the range that literally so much of the, so much of the Setting on Words has with the Seraphine, with the Senna, like you cannot, you can't just, you have to focus down. They're split. This should be optimal for you, right? But no, somehow the Yone was once again on the wrong targets in the back, and I guess it was technically the back line, in a sense, but it was orange. So you really need to decide how to get rid of these couple damage dealers.
We're gonna take another look at it, Way. Good luck walking us through this one, but we're gonna take a look at that replay really quickly here.
All right, so we had the double Call of Forge Gods going down pretty early. Okay, we're looking at kind of the mid fight. Back, Renata giving the, got the revive onto the Sejuani, but it didn't matter. Barely juking the Seraphine. By this point, you can't take the fight anymore. Leaving the Senna up for so long is just a death sentence. This is the one way you can lose.
We are back onto the Baron here for the large rods. The Shadow Surge connects. Vex is flying back in there. He completely eliminates the Renata once again. The Vex damage is absolutely insane, but it's a couple of kills traded back now. The Vex is still alive. Can Decomposition get it done? It's a triple kill for the Vex. Was that a quadra kill? No, the Vex does go down in the end, but it's only the Sejuani left alive against the Ornn and the Seraphine. So I don't think anybody else will be going down. But another crazy fight, and another fight where the Ward Sitters end up on top.
It's absolutely insane that I thought the snowball was going to just end with a crushing blow, just absolutely devastating all the members of Setting on Words, but instead, they've managed to come back from the brink of defeat so far. This could be a new age for them. Maybe it was just time for them to get the Senna and Vex ahead. I did not expect that Vex damage. Going on to Yone and just completely obliterating him on top of the Baron call. What needs to happen now is he is too large. He needs to take a step back. That should be a wake-up call. We cannot keep overestimating ourselves anymore. We have to come up with a new strategy on how we're approaching these team fights.
Yeah, definitely. If we remember, actually, back towards the earlier stages of this game, Way, there were those two shutdowns that went over to the Vex pretty early on, and Decomposition has just been kind of biding his time in this game, just kind of waiting for his opportunity, and he found it in that last dragon fight. All of a sudden, he's on 4 items now, including the Ornn upgraded Ludens, and this Vex just hits like an absolute truck.
Oh no, he's actually a monster. He was a completely hidden, unbeknownst to us, but now completely a known factor in the state of the game. I think everyone will realize that they're going to have to respect a little bit more of the Vex burst that I said they didn't have at the beginning of the draft, but it seems they found their way to it. Some more fights breaking out mid lane now.
Once again, Have with the follow-up with the Cyclone flashes forward to get another knockup onto the Callista, but it's not going to be enough to finish the job. Callista still hopping around, still trying to get out that damage. Wukong tries to go back in because there was no way out, but it will not be enough. Javi falls. And now a 5v4 on the map for the large rods. Encore comes out, though. That's a nice ultimate from the Seraphine, but the tenacity from the Sejuani allows her to get away the stolen Shadow Surge. Carbon goes in very deep, but he will fall to the superior Vex. Decomposition cleans him up. And that means it will be a 1-for-1 overall in the fight. Yone was split pushing top. that whole time. He will be collapsing up now to join up with the rest of the team. Soul Unbound looking to chase onto the Seraphine. The Fate Sealed as well. And the Yone is going to go for some extremely silly maneuvers there and just get a free kill for his team. Now less than a minute on the Dragon. Oh, Vex damage. Okay. Call of the Forge God comes out. I don't know if that was the most value that I've ever seen Orin Ultimate get, but that is a pretty nice fear from the Vex. Not quite able to finish the Yone, the shielding too much. Oh, the center range, though. Sheda is really coming online here as well. Let's get maybe a stack count on the Senna. That 96, actually, so just 4 souls away from that 5th range upgrade.
Once you get to 100, you're already a big force to be reckoned with. At 120, it's very hard for the opponent to basically walk anywhere within range of your team.
Can't be on the same screen.
So you have to decide to go all in at that moment. And all in, we're going to be seeing them look for, I think this is a 4v5 on the Dragon.
Yeah. Seraphine cannot be here. They're looking to burst it down, and they will get it. So 3-3 now in Dragons. How does the fight look, though? Man advantage for the large rods, and they took out the Vex right at the start. Now it's full retreat mode for the Ward Sitters. Senna with a nice blast cone, able to get herself potentially to safety. Javi still on the run here as well. They get the Drake. They only lose 1. That's a pretty big win for the side of sitting on wards, but Baron is on the table, and I don't know if they'll be able to make it out onto the map to contest.
Yeah, I think this Baron should go pretty cleanly over to them unless they get a steal. We're seeing the Orin TP come in. He does not have Call the Forge God. And
yeah, we don't have Cyclone either. And the turn Galliant is actually looking for it, but he needs to make his way back into the pit. Oh no, Rend exists, so they are going to secure it with the Callista. And now Javi in some trouble, stuck around a little bit too long. Cheta got picked off there as well. Now Fridge trying to run the decent Bellow's Breath to try and immune the chain there from the Silas, but there's just too much CC. There's no escape for the Ornn. They're going to be able to chase him down. And now the 5v2 power play. Baron buff on, and it looks like the needlessly large rods will be able to finish what they started after all.
Oh, with another pick, that could definitely be the case.
That's gotta be game. Vex down for 50 seconds. I don't think they can hold the Nexus. They've got Senna in 10, they've got Wukong in 12, but the first inhibitor will certainly fall. This is quite a big minion wave as well. Look at that full HP, level 18 Yone. The Encore will connect, but I just don't think it's enough. First Nexus turret goes down, second Nexus turret to follow. The stolen Encore to seal the deal. Carbon singing the Siren song for his opponents, and it's going to be needlessly large rods taking game 1 and looking for that tiebreaker to get potentially that 3rd place.
That was so much closer throughout the entire game than I was ready for. You saw, they had like so much snowball potential on the side of Lucy Large, and yet still, even when all the cards looked to be stacked in their favor at the last moment, just everything tumbling down like a stack of dominoes, and it seemed like, oh no, this is the time where Breath on Wards finds their momentum back, but that momentum biting them in the butt at the end. They overestimated, bit off too much, more than they could chew. Went for too many fights. I love going for the Dragon Soul Point, but then the idea should have been, we get this Soul Point and we leave immediately. Like, no one stays. I don't know if you saw it, but Dank Cheta literally stayed in the pit as Senna by herself with 4 team members around, 4 enemy team members around her. And I literally, the thought process that had to go up through their head was like, maybe they don't see me. And I was like, what are you doing? Flash over the wall.
Get out of there, run.
And then after a moment of deliberation, they finally decide, actually, this is the time I flash over the wall when Silas is on top of me, almost dying, and then giving them a little bit more priority, allowing them to easier go to that Baron. And I really think at that point, you got to cut off the arm. You're like, okay, that's fine. We bite the bullet. They get the Baron. It's okay. We can still, we've been making these team fights happen. We're on Soul Point ourselves. This is the part where we come back. And that was the moment where it all fell apart. They took one too many bad fights. And there it was.
Yeah, absolutely, Way. Absolutely. I mean, I don't think I even necessarily blame them that much. I mean, they were taking a lot of fights that I don't know if they necessarily should have been, and they were actually winning a significant number of them. So, you know, I think the decision to fight is not in of itself a bad thing, but moving to contest that Baron after, you were already down a member, you only had really your Wukong and your Ornn there to try and contest. There was no way to really get into the pit. And when those two guys fell after the Baron had already been taken, that was really what sealed the deal.
Yep. And it was so close. Things were starting to look so well for them. It just seems like even though Needlessly Large in my head theoretically had the better late game team fight, and they seemed like they got to that stage, they just didn't ever pan out for them. I think that the way they approached these fights was kind of haphazardly. They just decided to hit whoever's in front of them. Like mob minions, they're playing as the NPCs where they're just like, oh, I'm gonna aggro whoever's closest to me, and then if you do a lot of damage to me, you better watch out. I might come after you. And instead of being like, okay, I'm not gonna touch the Yone until we get like 5 members CCing him. It's okay. But go aggro the other member. It's fine. Treat it like a MMO like raid boss fight. And yeah, like you said, they rode that momentum, and it just barely didn't work out. One fight too many, and it turned the game. But I think it does show us something that I'm glad we saw exemplified, which is that no matter how far that they are taken, you have to watch out because the cornered rat will bite back.
Yeah.
They're doing so. They were not down crazy. It wasn't like a 10K gold deficit, right? But against that team, you don't want to give them any gold lead whatsoever. And even past all of that, they were able to make these team fights and show that prowess, showing them why they deserve a chance to be 4th place here. And if they get this next couple, if they manage to seal this, deal 2-1, they still have a very, very high chance of cementing their place in the 4th place in the playoffs.
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, Decomposition did have a pretty incredible game there on the Vex, and some very respectable performances out of Fridge and Javi as well, I think, on the Ornn and the Wukong, but just need to see a little bit more coordination out of the squad, and just be a little bit more deliberate on executing the game plan that you have coming out of Champion Select, and try and secure that 3rd place for yourselves as sitting on wards. It's the large rod's right on your heels here. I'm not quite sure how those tiebreaker scenarios would work, but they're 1 game behind. If they get this next win, I believe that is actually would be dead even in terms of the actual records between the two teams.
You don't want to leave it up in the air. You want to make sure that you win without any doubt. Or at least take your 4th place without any doubt, right? Like once you have cemented your 4th place, you're chilling. You're like, it's okay. We at least made it to the playoffs, and that's kind of the feeling that you want at the very least. And
incredible. Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was just going to say that kind of you were mentioning highlighting some of the players, and I do want to say that absolutely, like Decomp, kind of out of nowhere, just came out the blue and started making plays. Yeah, no, beautiful picks and angles, and they actually were not dying more than I thought they were going to be, considering how close they kind of had to play sometimes. And on the other side, I really don't think Dank Cheta positioned badly for most of the game. I think they actually positioned really well outside of the range of potential threats. They could have maybe gotten a little more damage, but playing on the safe side in these fights, I think matters a lot. And the only thing really holding them back was the items and being the goal deficit, being behind from bot lane. So I think we just got to change a couple things up in draft. They were up against a very difficult team to front to back against. So I think maybe just approach that from the draft, because you've already shown how well you can pilot these team fights. And if we just make it about setting the rules, setting black and white for you, you can easily make a comeback here for the game 2.
Okay, well, we will be getting into game 2 pretty shortly here, guys. I believe we will be going to a short break first, but don't go anywhere. We will be back with some more of tonight's Week 7 action right after this. Hello, everybody. Welcome back. We are moments away from getting into Champion Select for Game 2 of the night between Sitting on Wards and the Large Rods. Sitting on Wards have selected blue side. They have selected to remain on blue side for this second game. And, I hope that's the correct decision for them. Looking to hang on to third place here against the very hungry Large Rods.
Yeah,
In
I
the
think
draft
that
already, way.
I think the idea right here of taking blue again is once again you put on the table that you could always have first pick Seraphine, which I don't think first pick Seraphine was bad. It did get punished a bit by the bot lane, but a GSC made a comeback solo in that lane. So, you're feeling the ego. You're going to keep it.
Seraphine was getting great value in that last game, definitely. I did not mind that Seraphine first pick one bit. And as we know, it is, of course, a flex pick as well between a number of different positions. So solid first pick for a number of reasons. And I do believe it is available once again here, and it will be locked in.
Yep. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. And you have so many strong picks for your team that are blindable, semi-blindable. They picked the Ornn up pretty early on last time too. So blue side makes a lot of sense. We are just going to be seeing a repeat of the draft so far, except for the Yone band. Instead of, I don't remember what it was, but so far, are we going to see any deviations? Is the Senate pick going to come out again? That's my question. Or do we pick another carry that could potentially be safer or fight against the bot lane, perhaps with jungle assistance? I know Javi beforehand is known to make some level 2 ganks, and when we don't see them bot side too much, that could be a factor to worry about.
Okay, so a little bit of an adjustment here. Looks like it could potentially be the Trundle locked in. It was, of course, as you say, Senna Ornn that was the 2-3 lock-in for Sitting on Wards in that Game 1 draft. So maybe a little bit of earlier priority on their jungler this time around. One other quick note here. This is all abiding by the rules that the needlessly large rods do not have access to their first 3 bans for tonight's series. I'm not quite sure actually on the specifics of why that is the case, but that is not a visual bug or anything. The large rods actually just do not get bans for the first phase tonight, unfortunately for them. Maybe would have banned the Seraphine out if they did have the option to do so, but regardless, it will be a little bit of Freljord synergy now, Way, coming out from the Ward sitters, as the Trundle and the Ashe will both be locked in.
Yep. I love seeing those character synergies. It's something that it kind of, you almost only ever see it in Fever Dreams or Peace Pigeon montages, but
or TFT.
But every once in a while it comes through, and I like the idea now. So instead of putting the hyper carry, Ashe is still pretty good with Little Tempo, has a lot of range, can potentially outrange Kalista, but you never really want to fight the Kalista by yourself. Now, the Vi coming to lockdown, I think this means you need to either put a lot more team fighting potential on your other members on your next 2 picks coming up, or you put another hyper carry in the game. That's kind of
the side of the large rods.
Yeah, well, actually for the side of Sitting on Wards, because I think that Vi can pretty easily lock down Ashe and then get in with the Renata, especially if there's a Renata ult behind it too. The Seraphine ult's not going to matter too much in that scenario. So although Ashe could be enough by herself if you have enough defensive mechanics set up, but we've seen last time Kalista Renata getting that lead early on. Now Ashe is a stronger early lane bot lane, so maybe that will fix the issue there.
Yeah, and also one thing that we should definitely mention is Ashe has some really, really nice synergy with the Seraphine.
That's true.
Being able to proc those slows allows a Seraphine's E to actually just be a root, even without the empowered thing. I actually have never played Seraphine, so I'm not super familiar with how that kit works. But
every four abilities they get the empowered. Yeah, they get the empowered one, and it generally requires like the multiple hit to get the root, I think. But either way, it will be a lot easier to hit their abilities for sure in this lane, and they're not gonna have to be, sitting so far behind. They can kind of easily farm early levels, even if they have a wave under tower. They don't have to be as worried about the all-in potential, but still theoretically a factor. Okay.
Ooh. And now a Freljord champ taken by the other side, and this is fairly canonical. I think Ashe and Lissandra don't get along super well according to the lore, so this all checks out for me so far.
And we just need like a Tryndamere top lane coming in, and then that both fulfills the hyper carry in another
Rewards,
lane,
yeah.
and also gets the
True,
Ashe Tryndamere
true.
synergy on your lane. So
Yeah, and like the Tryndamere, he's pretty strong right now. Could definitely see that. But it is the blind Lissandra, of course. So now we have to see what, of course, decomposition is going to want to take into it. I guess the Lissandra, in a sense, was kind of a pre-counter pick if he was thinking about maybe going back towards that Vex, because the Lissandra, I believe, generally regarded as being favored in that matchup, but it will be decomposition pivoting away from the Vex. He's going to be locking in that late game hyper carry that you were looking for, Way, in the Victor. And they're going to get a little bit more front line up there, of course, from Fridge in the top lane. Going to pull out the Void Monster. And there is the 5th pick for NLR this time around, going to be the Mordekaiser into it, which I think is pretty fantastic. What are your thoughts there on that?
It's a beautiful pick against Cho'Gath specifically, but
Mhm.
also not just Cho'Gath. One of the big problems when fighting a Seraphine, of course, everyone thinks about the Encore. What you aren't thinking about is the 800 HP plus shield that she's giving you every 12 to 16 seconds, because when you have more members grouped together, her shield and heal get stronger, and Mordekaiser can completely take that factor out of the table if it ever gets close enough to the Seraphine. And if you're not ready for that interaction to happen, if you don't have your wards where they need to be, which sitting on wards does tend to have a pretty good job having those out there and being on them. But if there was ever a moment that the Mordekaiser does manage to fly by in, get that drive-by steal in the Seraphine, all of a sudden your entire team fight's in disarray. Because you need... Seraphine is the centerpiece of your team fights right now. You don't have anything else going crazy for you. Yeah, you have a little bit of pick potential with that vision control with the Ashe, and you have, of course, the Victor ult is going to be doing a lot of AoE damage as well if we get to that point. But the main center point is going to be the fact that everyone can kind of clump together behind the Cho'Gath, play it front to back once again, and that the Seraphine is going to continue healing you. So that's going to be the Mordekaiser, in my opinion, their only goal, their bounty is going to be the Seraphine the entire game.
Yeah, definitely. The denizens of the Death Realm, I think, are not really all that into pop music. So Seraphine, not going to have any fans in there. She's not going to have a great time. But one thing I do really want to point out here, actually, Way, for the side of the needlessly large rods, is this composition that they have put together is extremely low range. They have 2 melee characters. They have a Callista, a Lissandra, and a Renata. And they are playing against a Victor and a Trundle and an Ashe, who are going to have a lot of slows. Also, I guess Cho'Gath and Seraphine also have slows. So it's slows all over the place. And a lot of high-range DPS. So I'm feeling a little bit like a broken record right now, because I'm about to say that Sitting on Wards have a very strong late-game team-fighting composition, but they did last game too, and it didn't really end up working out for them. So I don't know. Is this something to be concerned about for needlessly large rods? They have a short-range composition, or do you think that the engage power coming through from the Vi and the Lissandra, and of course the Mordekaiser ultimate, as you already discussed, is going to be more than sufficient to deal with the attempted range that is Sitting on Wards are going to attempt to create?
Yeah, so I think team fights are, given an even board state, hands down going to Sitting on Wards right now. There is no way that you can basically, if you look not only just at their range, but at their general mobility, right? Okay, so yes, Vi and Lissandra can get in. Mordekaiser and Renata and Callista don't really have a traditional dash or really any way to really move around in a fast manner. They have to just kind of be attacking and kiting the entire time, which means it's going to be really easy for Victor to put down his very important, slow field on top of Chaos Storm coming out, and with that Maelstrom out there, it'll be really hard to position to even get into any sort of like crevice or any pinch that brings up. Even Lissandra, when you think of her having high mobility, the problem is that when she gets in, she's basically stuck there. Either she's stuck in the Frozen Tomb, or she's made a target of herself and she just Zhonya's. Either way, making it so easy to plant all of your abilities. I mean, look on Blue Team's side. They have so many abilities that are just like we can be so far away and throw this ability out there. Throw out the Rupture, throw out the Laser, throw out the Gravity Field, throw out the Encore, and even though these things take time, it doesn't matter when your team is so immobile that you can't even afford to push up. So team fighting, like you said before, unlike last time where I think if the other team gets late game, this time OCLRs does not have really late game insurance. What they have is they have a completely different style of draft. We're now not fighting fire with fire. We're saying, okay, what we're going to do here is hopefully get a lead early through bot lane, get that first dragon in, and then be able to transition that into a rift. Perhaps at some point, if we get our bot lane or our jungle fed at any point, and then we can start doing this 1-3-1 split thing, which I do really like going for them. If they have Vi out of vision on the map, they're keeping a lot of good presence, and they're able to sweep away the wards that they're able to put down. They only have to worry about the Ashe Hawkshot being a thing, but otherwise, by themselves, the parts that make up the entire board for sitting on wards is that they have all these things put together, work out really nicely, but only in conjunction. Cho'Gath by himself, a very big target for Mordekaiser, which is a winning lane for him to start, shredding him down, especially when it gets Riftmaker. There's basically going to be no coming back if Cho'Gath can't burst him down. And then Trundle, yeah, he's pretty strong. He can ult shoot and like maybe 1v1 you, but if you have just enough of the pick potential on your side and the vision, you should be able to close out these fights. Just make sure that Mordekaiser uses ult wisely and those sorts of things. So you're going to have to be playing roughly around these first couple objectives. I think should be very important, and how we start kind of addressing the 1-3-1 split for sitting pref on wards. This first dragon, I think, is probably one of the most important first dragons that we're going to see.
Okay, Way, your prediction, please, for game 2. Like you said, it's a very different composition this time around. Will it be enough to take down the team fight? 2-0?
I think that this time around, last time, I picked NLR, but this time, sitting on wards just has too easy of a game plan, and I don't see enough disruption tactics. I've mentioned the Mordekaiser on Seraphine if we do go to the team fight route or if we are ahead, but in any case that we are not ahead, and I'm not incredibly impressed by our team fighting last time. I think that without a team fighting comp or a snowballing comp, it's going to be incredibly hard to fight these team fights, and it is very difficult to stop these players from entering team fights as we've seen before, and I think that's going to play to their detriment.
Okay, guys. Game 2 right around the corner.
Game 2 right around the corner. Yep.
Okay, everybody, welcome back. Mr. Way is doing his very best to use the powers of the caster curse to get us that third game tonight. Let's see if it comes through. The side of sitting on wards going for a very cheeky 5-stack in the banana brush here towards top side.
Yep. They're trying to play a little layer 1, layer 2 right now. So last time they tried pretty hard, Galliant going pretty deep for that ward. This time, maybe not so much. Yep. And they are just going to fade out.
The Beatro.
The fight will fizzle out. Let's look at the runes. I don't think we're going to see anything crazy across the board. Last time we saw the Inspiration Spellbook on the Ornn. This time we're looking at the Grasp top lane. The battle between Behemoths, or Behemoths I think is actually said, but I always say it wrong.
Yes.
And in the top lane. And rather, everything else pretty standard across the board. Lysandre with that Electric Q looking for that, little poke potential on the Vic Drive. Kind of like last game, you don't really see anything happening mid lane without the junglers, but mid laners have proven me wrong before. Let's see if that's the case this time around.
I will say I'm not a huge fan of the Hail of Blades on the Vi. Generally, it was always my thought that if you're going lethality, the Electrocute just does work a little bit better for what you're trying to do. But as I mentioned before, my Vi build actually doesn't work anymore, so maybe Galliant knows something that I don't. Maybe Hail of Blades is good on Vi now. I really actually am not too sure. As Mordekaiser, as we can see up here, is just very, very comfortable in this matchup.
Yep. Cho'Gath actually took Rupture first, which tells me that they want to play very safe, I guess. Because normally, or you need it to like hit the caster manage or something. So it tells me that you're already going to be playing from behind, which is seems to be Fridge's thing.
Okay. Will he land the Death's Grasp? No, he will not. The Cho'Gath will meander away very comfortably. Oh, and that's actually a lot of damage onto the Mordekaiser. Minions hitting him a little bit there as well.
I'm surprised they didn't commit to anything there. He seems really content to just play back, and he does have better sustain than Mordekaiser, so I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Those couple trades not looking
especially
great.
With the Grasp, right?
Yeah. So Stupid kind of has to, tone it down a little bit and wait a bit. I mean, both junglers
he chose to back off at the right time. Yeah, the Trundle was waiting for him there in the river.
Yeah, good stuff. I mean, I think that you can sometimes push your fights a little bit more, but if you're worried about the Vi maybe doing a level 2 gank or something and you don't trust yourself, just play it safe. You Cho'Gath, you're sitting pretty in the top lane. No one's going to stop you.
That's the Fridge specialty, right? He's chilling. He'll be there for the team fights. It'll look good.
Yeah.
Cheddar. We're gonna keep an eye on Cheddar's positioning this game. Does have the Ashe, so, a little bit more utility available for him.
Yep, he does have to be...
gonna throw down a pillar up here, but I don't think that the Mordekaiser is really too much trouble.
No, it looks like these repeated ganks are not really doing anything, nor do I think that Fridge really needs it. I think it's okay. We can go back and farm a little bit. I think mid lane should be more so the thing you want to get ahead, if anything.
Well, Carbon's going to go in with a Glacial Path here, but he's not going to find a Ring of Frost or anything like that, so there's no setup for the Vi whatsoever. Maybe we'll just push the wave in. Rupture going to be nicely sidestepped there by Stupid.
Yeah, everything so far. No kills going on to any side. No level 3 all-in yet from either bot lane. And they are reaching level 4, so that time has passed. Just getting wards out on the map, it seems. Getting that vision control. A few trades here and there. As we're going to kind of farm up. Trundle, Javi... down quite a bit of CS against the Vi. I think took a little bit too much time forcing the gank top lane. Now is going to pay for it. Might be behind a important core item for what might be an early drag fight.
Yeah, the Trundle actually just did a 3 camp and then waited around in that topside river for quite a while, just kind of chilling, waiting for the Scuttle Crab to spawn. That was a decent attempt on the pillar from Javi. I don't actually know if you are Handshake. Not going to lead into anything. But I don't actually know if you can interrupt the Glacial Path with the pillar if you time it perfectly. I don't think you can.
I believe that's not a thing. So what he can do is just, if you wait too long in the Glacial Augment, then you can basically knock you up for a very, very short amount of time.
Right,
But it's
very,
basically
very small window there, definitely. Yeah.
It's basically you will not see it happen. But yeah, the windows for any sort of fight has kind of dwindled down. It kind of sucks. It's like the sunken cost fallacy, where like you already committed to doing this 3-camp clear into a gank, and it didn't pan out. And you're like, well, I have a regank opportunity, even though it doesn't look great. It's something that I can't. What other camp am I gonna do? Gromp and then back.
I mean, he is playing Trundle, right? So you kind of need to do something early game, or like, why are you playing Trundle? So, don't hate it. And it's not like Vi has an insane clears. Oh, that's going to be a Ring of Frost. And the flash does come out from decomposition, but I don't think it's going to save him. The flash follow for Galliant, and he will be the one to pick up the last hit. First blood for the Vi. You love to see it. And Mordekaiser got level 6. He's got Cho'Gath in his Death Realm, and both top laners are going to flash, and one of them is going to die, and it's not Mordekaiser. Although, that was actually very close as the Cho'Gath just ticked over to Sek right as Mordekaiser brought down the mace. It will be Stupid that picks up that solo kill, which means 2-0 for the large rods. In addition to that first dragon, got themselves a nice early advantage here, which is exactly what you need with this composition, right their way.
Yeah, any early lead, you will start pivoting your draft around that point. So it doesn't matter really where you get it necessarily, although I think bot lane should be given a lead if possible. But wherever it is, you need to start creating that tension, start pushing that lane more. Look to absolutely get your hands on Rift and throw it in a lane, and then have that opportunities to start splitting and taking towers, or whatever the case may be.
2-level advantage for the Vi right now, by the way.
2-level advantage, and might be trying to get something started here in the bot
this
lane.
Is still level 4, and he's going for the lane gank. Javi, this is going to take you so long. Vi's going to be level 7.
Oh,
she's gonna take his chickens! She's taking his chickens way! Oh, she's actually taking his mid laner. Decomposition gonna walk a little bit too far forward. Didn't have vision in his own chicken camp. That's gonna be the cease and desist into the last auto attack, and Carbon's gonna get paid.
Another beautiful disjoint, but at the end of the day, I just don't think there's any way for Decom to make it out of that position. Some more fights happening top lane, but I think we've already highlighted the main problem that we're going to be seeing, and it's that Javi is so far behind already. Like last game, he's so
oh, well, they are going to make this lane gank happen. The patience, no, it won't be rewarded. Oh, the flash, the chomp, the fates call. You've got to be kidding me. Avorusi saves his support, and Javi just wasted like 90 seconds at least.
Oh my god, how? I wasn't even. I thought that he died through the res, but seems like with that Kalista synergy coming in, it somehow saved him. That's crazy.
He barely saved him. Oh, that's the triple stun from Carbon. But where's the follow-up? It's not there. The Kalista was on the other side of a pillar, and she could not get in any auto attacks. Yeah. It looked really cool from the Lissandra, but it actually didn't really.
Yeah, it's the really well-timed exhaust actually from GSV, stopping the damage coming out and basically forcing them back off. So making sure to not leave anything up for grabs. Keep it nice and simple. Don't let that 3-0 lead turn into anything more. But the Trundle being so far behind, only having a Tiamat, it doesn't see the same sort of power that it used to. It's gotten nerfed a lot of times since it used to be a great first item on, like, you take it on Rengar and like even other junglers just to help your clear. But
right, but I don't love the Tiamat. The clearing, I mean, it's already over, right? Like, you're already too far behind. You're not going to catch the Vi anytime soon, at least. So like your clear doesn't really matter at this point. I think as the Trundle, you really just need to be building full tank. Like, you just need to frontline for your Victor and your Ashe. That's the only way you're going to be useful in this game. I mean, notwithstanding like an incredible pillar that like completely changes a fight or something.
Yep. Well, Decomp has got to be playing very safe. It looks like bot lane has been itching for some action, especially on the side of sitting on wards. They really want... It can feel that way, especially when you know your team is not getting leads where you want it to be, that you feel more pressure to make those risks. And I definitely understand that. But all of that, you know, pressure, at the end of the day, you're even with your bot lane and farm, and you're not a lane that really has a great amount of all-in potential. That dragon's going to be going to Vi every day of the week at this rate. And Decomp is doing okay for being 0-2, but doing okay for being 0-2 does not mean that they're going to be making any plays anytime soon. So we kind of just are playing the waiting game for a while. I think that as long as the lanes can hold out, they probably should just not team fight until we get an item or two on the board, because even though you have a team fighting comp, with Trundle so far behind, and until Victor gets like 1 or 2 items, probably isn't worth it to start going down that route.
Well, Way, on the bright side, Victor is pretty good at that game. The waiting game, that is. He does scale quite well. So he will eventually be strong, no matter how many times he dies in the laning phase. But yeah, it's not looking too great for the ward sitters as of right now.
Yeah, I mean, you say eventually like it's a certainty, but that's only if they can hold on for
Top
long
laners,
enough.
I think, maybe going to the death up here. No, Fridge will walk away from that one.
No.
But the Mordekaiser is also pretty low.
Yeah, it could happen. I mean, both of them are technically one combo away from dying, I think. But then they would have to commit to that sort of thing. And Fridge, he hates commitments. He's more of like, you know...
Let me just eat a minion and go home. That's Fridge's angle here.
So,
he has a teleport in about 2 seconds, so he should be able to get back up there
yep.
pretty quickly. Oh, that's a lot of damage onto the Renata. Gonna find the Berserk onto the edge. Encore comes out, and that's gonna mean a kill lockdown, but the cease and desist. Shortly, they will be able to trade a couple of back here, but Javi is also here on the Trundle, but he's still 2 levels down. He has the red smite, though, the flash forward from Cheddar. He cleans up the enemy AD carry, and the slows are too much. It's a triple kill for Cheddar on the Ashe, but Platinum makes it down here. Carbon finds the marksman. The lore comes into play there as Lysandra finds her prey. And Lysandra will be Queen of the Freljord for now as she shuts down the Ashe.
Okay, but at least we have a pretty successful gank coming in for Javi for the first time, which lands in that first assist. It finally happened at 12 minutes and actually a humongous lead. This is actually, I think, pretty good for what could have happened. This is pretty decent. And now they kind of look to start, or maybe that's the dragon coming up, which, like I said, they need to start looking towards, because if they get these leads, once Mordekaiser starts getting ahead, getting that stuff started top lane, it's not looking great.
Okay, well, it's burning down right now. Looking like this should be secured. Actually, it's Renata able to get the last hit on that one, so that was absolutely stealable, but not going to be the case this time around. So it's going to be 2 dragons to 0 now in favor of the large rods, but the Cloud Soul is not necessarily the most impactful. I mean, Mordekaiser is going to be pretty happy about that, but I don't know about the rest of the squad.
Yeah, the rest of the squad almost doesn't care whatsoever about Cloud Soul in this situation, which really is unfortunate for their side. But that said, I don't think their team is ever looking to close it out through a soul point. I think it's more so on the side of sitting on wards, looking to get those Cloud Souls in, and it will, if they get the Cloud Soul, it is a completely different story. We already talked about the lack of mobility coming in from the opposite team. Well, if we just double up on that and we have double mobility from our side, and, you know, pretty fast ults coming in from that Ashe or something to start things off, then it is going to be pretty hard. So getting those 2 dragons ahead is most importantly denying the enemy team those first 2 dragons, which I really like.
Absolutely. Very, very important. They are able to deny that. Able to get that one taken off of the map just before Cheddar makes his way back out here. Does have his shield bow completed now after that triple kill he was able to pick up just a couple of minutes ago. So Ashe is very strong, but was not able to make it over here in time to contest the dragon. Oh, that's going to be a cease and desist onto the Victor. And that's the flash forward from Carbon for the Lysandra ultimate, and they just CC him 100-0.
And not able to get anything on time, but more is
Once
happening.
again with the counter attack, Lysandra has no tools left, and Trundle's just going to take a bite out of her. Galliant now, Vault Breaker away, will be able to escape underneath the mid-tier 1. But that is the side of sitting on wards, able to trade one back. 1 for 1, both mid laners go down.
Yeah, greatly. You know, we talked earlier about that interaction. Oh,
Jugglers
but more
facing off here in the pit. Subjugate not available for the Trundle. Vault Breaker interrupted by the pillar. Javi able to walk his way out of this one, but he will lose Chili number 2.
Yeah. that for the command
Oh,
clutch.
encore, turret down. The cleanse comes out from Avarusi, and he will survive.
Okay, it looks like teams are kind of deciding to take a little break. The rift not being taken yet, so we weren't sure that we could take it. I guess maybe
I mean,
after all those.
Mordekaiser has ultimate. Like, why would you not?
Yeah, it feels weird to me that it seems, in my opinion, guaranteed, but
Yeah.
they are gonna, I guess, wait. But this might bite them because now they have the opportunity. If you are sitting on wards, you can.
Okay. Well, Vi's just soloing it now.
I was gonna say that maybe sitting on wards could bring their bot lane into the equation because tower planings are down and they got that tower. But it looks like they're gonna be happy to just handshake that one over, just let them have it, and we'll go and protect our bot tower instead. Seems to be the play.
Top prio was enough, I suppose, to secure that.
Eventually. Maybe they just wanted to take it later so that they have a better timing for this dragon.
True. And also, the Herald... Okay, hang on a second now. Decomposition in some trouble here. Gonna get locked up by the Glacial Tomb. Almost able... Oh, the Chaos Storm? Is it enough? Does Callista go down here? Yes, she does. The bailout is not gonna save her. Callista drops, and so does the Vi. The hostile takeover to one of the round of the arrow does connect onto Carbon. Has the Glacial Path, though, able to get himself away. The Cheta marksmanship from Cheta was good there. Follow-up wasn't quite present to knock down the mid laner, but still a fight won by the ward sitters. They've got the mid prio now. They're going to push in here, maybe take this tier 1. And if they're able to secure this, they will get the gold lead as well. There it is, Way.
This is where it starts for sure. This team fight started happening, and you don't have a team fight comp. I did say that, you know, NLR had quite a large lead at the very beginning, and they have taken every objective from that lead. But now is the time where the items start getting in, especially after the Ashe got 3-1. You have to respect anywhere she is on the map, and that they will.
Oh, Vi looking to farm her jungle, but Ashe is here. You got to respect it, Vi. She will. She'll get out of there. She'll get over the wall.
Yeah. Lissandra could be caught out too if they're not careful. I don't think they know.
They should know, because Vi was just chased out of her own jungle. But maybe sticking around a little bit too long here. They don't have vision of the Lissandra, though, so not going to be able to pull the trigger on that. Meanwhile, in mid lane, it's going to be Galliant. Going to go ahead and drop Shelly here, or Shirley, as the LCK crew would say.
Yeah, so sitting on
that charge off.
Yeah, they get the charge out, and they will get the tower for what it's worth, but I don't think this really stops them from taking the dragon here with a good fight. They don't have the Trundle ult up just yet, but about everything else is there.
Do a little bit of face check in here into the brush. Death's Grasp just barely not going to connect. It looked like that was going to pull the troll backwards towards his potential doom, but not going to happen this time around. Javi's just fine. Dragon is alive. Yeah. Dragon number 3 would be soul point for the side of the large rods if they can get over there to secure it, and Stupid does have his Death Realm available. Oh, but they're not gonna get it.
Yeah, it's a little too risky. I actually like pulling back because both your bot laners didn't have their ultimates ready. Now they do. They could theoretically maybe pull a team fight off, but you know, decomposition's there with the Ludens and the High-Tech Alternator.
Okay, Carbon's gonna find an Ashe all by herself.
All right. This is where we start to pick up the momentum for NLR back up. We have these picks. Another fight looking to go down in the top lane, Crewman.
Yeah, they are both pretty healthy still, but Cho'Gath does not have a tower, so Mordekaiser's gonna go ahead and drop the Death Realm. Cho'Gath does not have his ultimate available either, so gonna have a really hard time turning this one around. And you can see that percent max HP damage coming through. Bridge will try to flash away, but the Rylai is completed there for the Mordekaiser. Applying that slow means that the Void monster just cannot escape, and he will get bonked by the Lord of the Death Realm himself.
Yep, so now the side lanes are looking a lot weaker, able to oppress the enemy team from their lanes and even their jungle. That's kind of the dichotomy I'm expected to see. We managed to get the Ashe ahead.
Oh, so that is a flash forward from Galliant. Botched the Q flash there just a little bit, but maybe things will still work out as the Renata ultimate does come through. Couple of kills traded back and forth here as both junglers will fall as well as the Seraphine, and that is a lot of burst. That is Luden's Shadow Flame Lissandra, and Carbon just popped Cheta like a balloon.
Okay, So basically the moment that Sitting on Wards had something going for them, it basically started to collapse in front of them. These picks are coming in hot, fresh off the market, and I don't know if NLR can be stopped. They're going to be taking this Baron for a ride, and Cho'Gath, I do not believe is going to make it in time, but to see the Baron fall.
Oh, Mordekaiser's extremely low. He does have his shield and a little bit of healing there, but Bridge gonna find the auto attack. Actually, it's gonna be the victim that finishes him off. Dragon's still alive. It's devoured. It's feasted on by the Cho'Gath. And that's going to be another kill going over to Sitting on Wards as well. Zyra going to go golden, going to throw his watch on the ground and step on it, and he will still die. Carbon trying to escape. That's going to be Galliant respawning, making his way back in here, and he's able to turn that one around. Double kill for the Vi. Knocking off a couple of the Barons there, but still a massive win for Sitting on Wards. Looked like maybe it was all done and dusted there, Way. You were just saying how the snowball was maybe getting a little bit too big, as that is a lot of Lissandra damage again, and Javi is going to int away another of those Baron buffs, unfortunately. But even still, even with those 3 deaths, I still think that is a solid play for the Ward sitters.
No, absolutely. You cannot discount the gold, but it looks like we're getting a nice wrap around here for the Mordekaiser.
Oh dear. I don't know if we're going to have any Baron buffs left after this one, Way. Cheta is trying to do some alcove gaming, but he's really just going to be doing mostly some alcove dying, and it is going to be Mordekaiser that picks up the last hit.
GSC somehow walks away, the least undisturbed out of what I thought was going to be a not clean, but a sweep nonetheless at some point or another of all the team members. Getting away with 1 Baron buff, basically kind of just tied the gold game states for the past 2 minutes, so nothing really changed. That's what I'm trying to say. But that said, there are still some bounties from NLR that I think need to be taken care of to start getting our team fighting going on. I really just thought they had the damage with the Callista to be able to take it before the Cho'Gath got there, but they seemed to decide otherwise. Wanted to fight instead.
Yeah, definitely. And they didn't have their Vi when they started that Baron. They thought that they were just going to be able to secure it with the Rend from the Callista. I think maybe they just forgot that Cho'Gath ult was a thing, that he can execute it from about the same amount of HP. And yeah, Fridge just walks in there and takes it.
Yep. I don't think the Baron didn't end up mattering, I guess, so it's okay. We basically just hand shook 1,500 gold to both teams at the end of the day. It looks like Vi's looking for this little gank, but a nice TP from Fridge, always seemingly 1 step away from harm's way. Getting a nice start on this dragon, and it looks like both teams are ready to fight. Cheta gets pretty close to the Lissandra. I'm not sure if that's where you want to be without the rest of your team behind you, but...
Sitting on Wards, clearing out this vision, securing that dragon blessing for themselves, as you discussed earlier, but it's going to be the mid-priority, the mid-prio blessing for the side of large rods. That's the hostile takeover going to come out. Not going to accomplish all that much, as the retreat in full effect for the large rods. They are going to vacate the mid lane, move towards the top side of the map, and this should be Cloud Dragon number 2 given over to the Ward sitters, although
they kind of have to fight
if you're contesting a little bit here. Gravity Well comes down. That's some very nice zone control, but it doesn't really seem like Sitting on Wards is going to do a whole lot with it. The river will be taken by the large rods. Would be Cloud Soul Point if they can secure this objective, but it's looking like a 5v5 here in the bot side river. Dragon he started up. And most of our ultimates are available. Notably, Renata's ultimate is not. Everybody else does have access to that R button. Dragon getting a little bit impatient here. It's reset a couple of times now. That's a nice out of the Mordekaiser. Javi feeling pretty comfortable to start taking some bites out of this one. Handshake is good, though. That's a stun onto a couple of frontliners. Decent damage. Encore comes out onto 3. A lot of damage, but the Carbon goes for the engage at the same time. He nullifies the Encore by going gold, casting Lissandra ultimate on himself, but a lot of damage comes out. Ash is trying to able to carry the fight with those items, with his lead from earlier. The bonk from Stupid. The mace comes down, and Ash is going to be hitting the dirt. Agassi will soon follow. Decomposition doing everything that he can, but Stupid is just too strong. Way he takes them all out. It's going to be Cloud Soul Point secured and maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, Stupid maybe looking a little dummy strong right now and making all the plays with it. They did get a few shutdowns from sitting on wards, but I really thought that there was their team fight to lose. They had the ultimate advantage and they had the team fighting comp, but they just couldn't put it together. They never ended up. You know, part of it is that the Ashe doesn't quite have the damage yet to take down the Mordekaiser, who is kind of just such a big threat. Now that they've gotten the Rylai's and the Riftmaker, they may be able to take Rift Soul at this rate if Prep does not find their footing, because the Scape is just looking steep with that 4K gold lead.
Teleport back onto the map for Carbon. Trundle blast cones into the pit and he steals the dragon. 2-2 now in Dragons. The Trundle will, of course, give his life for that one. He's going to respawn at exactly the same time as the Baron Way. Will that be in time? Will that be soon enough?
I think it's fine as long as no one else gets picked. As long as no one else gets picked. But, I mean, if you're new to large rods, you're looking for the pick the entire time. Vi hovering this Ashe. And I think she will find the wraparound before GC makes it.
Seraphine gonna do a little face checking. Oh, I don't know if... Oh, Galliant will see him. Okay, we're going in here, but the Ashe arrow will connect. And the Vi engage will be denied. Didn't have access to the ultimate there, so quick go for the all-in, and maybe would have been ill-advised regardless.
Yeah, decided not to commit. Worried about perhaps fighting in the middle of the jungle where Victor thrives with that Maelstrom and the Gravity Field. I gotta say one thing to kind of take it back a little bit about how they were approaching these team fights. I think that Nuclear Large was actually piloting really well. They kind of basically took momentum by force of good rotations, right? What they did was they went mid lane when they realized that the enemy team basically had Pyro and Dragon. They didn't have a good way to take it from them, right?
Yeah.
They went mid lane and was like, hey, if you could take Dragon, but we're going to take 2 towers and an inhib if you do not stop this. Sitting on Proof, realizing that they wanted to fight more than they wanted the Dragon, decided to rotate mid lane. And then from that point, Nuclear Large cryos onto the Dragon.
That Lissandra has 3 items and an elixir and 3 levels on you, Seraphine.
You might want to be a little careful about that one.
just watch out.
Yep, still has a 300 gold.
Oh, that's going to be a face check. Galliant in some trouble here. Subjugate went down as well as the Chaos Storm. Couple of ultimates used in exchange for the flash from the Vi.
Okay, well, we settled down. No more bush shenanigans, unless they do have good board coverage. I don't think Baron is really on the table. I think both teams know that nothing's happening at the moment. Yeah. So, but basically kind of what I was saying before was just that they had really good rotations that allowed them to get that Pyro on Drag. And I think they could have even kept doing that sort of dance. They would have kept getting more damage on the tower and winning from it. So Pref needs to kind of make that decision to commit to a fight very early on. They have the opportunity to do it. They just need to maybe get that one pick started, get the Enchanted Crystal Arrow, and then top that off with the Rupture on top of the Encore, and basically just start fighting from there. But maybe what they're biding their time for is for Ashe to get Gwynsu's and Runan's Hurricane, which do seem pretty useful, but I don't know if you can wait that much longer.
Yeah, well, the large rods are saying we definitely do not want Ashe to get those items. We would like to just take Baron right now, but they will peel off. They had some vision in the enemy jungle, so they saw him coming. They knew this was going to be contested, and they didn't want to go for the team fight right at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, they know Mordekaiser's strong, and Mordekaiser's not with them. So if they see the enemy team rotating over, I think that's the right call to just keep rotating. This is how you play the pick comp, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Playing it pretty well for right now. Nobody, I mean, the worst case scenario, obviously, would be for the pick comp to get picked.
It's possible they have
definitely don't want. Yes. Well, it's more than possible. Yes, we've even seen it in this game already. So definitely want to try to avoid that one if we can. On the side of the large rods.
Yep. I mean, playing the waiting game isn't too bad for them because they're still slowly winning resources, right?
Yeah.
They got the bottom tower now, and that marks the end of almost all the tier 2s, but go ahead.
Victor is level 16 now with 3 items. Counterpoint.
That is true. Team fights could be a close to done deal for sitting on wards. If they decide to take these fights, I think Dink Chud is actually holding on to ultimate too much. when it's a guaranteed team fight starter. And it's their best guaranteed team fight starter. Like, most guaranteed, I think.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, definitely.
And, like, you're not really going to be using it to stop things. Okay, you could use this to ult the Vi if she gets close to you. But the rest of your team can handle that part. The Enchanted Crystal Arrow is a signal. It's a signal flare in this fight for your team to go in and start landing all their CC abilities on whoever you attack. You don't even need to focus anyone necessarily, right? Except for maybe the Mordekaiser, if the Mordekaiser is still in the front.
Against a comp like this, where they're all so short range, you just attack whoever's closest to you, right? You just attack whoever's in front, and trust your front line, like you're saying. Trust the Trundle and the Cho'Gath to create that space for you. Oh, that's going to be the Depth's Grasp pulls back the front line, though, and that is going to be getting right on top of Decomposition and Agassi for Carbon. He's being burst down. The Encore takes him out, and that's Cheetah is in the back line somehow on the Ash. Oh, because he's trapped in the Death Realm with the Mordekaiser. Stupid trying to finish him off, but it is the side of Sitting on Wards winning out in the fight. The Mordekaiser not with the rest of his team means the rest of his team gets cleaned up, and this will be Cloud Soul point secured for the Ward Sitters.
Yep. Fight looked great start. It looked like a pick was actually happening with the Lissandra, and the damage looked outstanding, but unfortunately, the teamfight capabilities of the Victor started coming into play. They grouped up for the Encore, and I think that marked the end of that little fight with that Wombo turnaround. And now looking at the Baron with the Cho'Gath, there's not really any way that I think Renata or Mordekaiser, for that matter, can really hope to contest this. They are going to give that one away. This time, I think rightfully so, to the Cho'Gath in his natural habitat, tanking everything.
Yeah, he's getting to be a pretty big boy there, the Cho'Gath. He's growing quite large. He won't be able to eat the Baron, unfortunately. He didn't quite have the cooldown on his ultimate back up just yet. A little bit unlucky there, but...
Okay, and we're going to be taking back a look at a quick replay from that last fight over at the Dragon. We saw Lissandra pick coming in at the back, but the Encore, look at that 4-man, 5-man Encore. Cleanse pop by the Callista. Mordekaiser taking the Ash to the Death Realm, which is pretty good, but by this point, you got to be watching out for decomp with that AoE damage. And just cleans up shop with the Seraphine still until, like I said, not getting rid of the Seraphine means that the rest of the entire team has no way of dying. The Callista's, not really going to be a factor of stopping that by herself until she gets like 5 or 6 items, so very well played.
Absolutely. We finally saw that team fighting composition that Sitting on Wards had put together really come into full effect. As that is Cheetah a little bit too far forward. Once again, the positioning from this AD carry has just been left us a little bit wanting tonight here, I think, Way.
Yeah, especially in this game, he was feeling himself too much.
Oh, the Encore does just clip the support. Here comes Carbon into the back line. No, we got a lot of stasis going off, including Lissandra. She's barely hanging on to 1 HP. The Chaos Storm will finish her off, though. Decomposition still alive, still dishing out that DPS from the back line. The Victor was never under any real threat there. Nicely timed Zanya is able to keep himself very safe, very healthy, and you can see, it was a 1-for-1, but the health bars on the side of NOR, that fight was very close to being very one-sided.
Yeah, exactly. They do have quite a few towers. They have everything objective-wise going for them, except for the dragons that basically Sitting on Warriors is starting to acquire, which I did say was an inevitability. At some point in the match, they are going to just group up to be this unstoppable team fighting monster front to back that they have. And they've shown that now is the time that they have it. Even if you take out the Ashe in the fight, the Maelstrom is still going to be there. The Chaos Storm will take out the rest of the members of the team. And team fighting is no longer a good option. We need to start looking at how we can break those inhibs, but is it too late?
Is it too late? That is the question. Oh, Mordekaiser. I thought he was about to get feasted on for a second there. I think maybe the shield kept him alive. Bridge is in some trouble now in a 1v3. He still gets the trade kill onto the enemy top laner. That's a lot of resources committed to the top side for the large rods. They're going to lose the mid-tier 2 for it, and they're going to lose their support maybe here as well. Zyra able to walk around the pillar. A nice handshake to get that Troll King away from him. Means that the Renata will be alive for now by making her way back into the base to try and put up a defense here, but the inhibitor line will be broken as Sitting on Wards are in the base.
Well, Carbon trying to avoid that from happening. Inhibitor turret going down, but at least no inhibitor going down yet, which would greatly hurt their plans to kind of split the map if they wanted to do it at all. But so point now looking to be on the table, 56 seconds. Galliant looking for some clear on the vision control and currently maintaining all the vision control. But I think that will not matter in a few seconds. And once again, even though they have this vision control, they do have, or rather, even though Sitting on Wards doesn't have vision control yet, they do have Dank Cheetah with that hawk shot is gonna able to illuminate nice and clear where everyone is alongside that blast or that vision cone rather.
Scryer's Bloom. Yes.
Yep.
Providing a lot of value there. Sitting on Wards as they move into the area.
Oh, I think team fighting is past our prime, Mordekaiser. I'm not sure if this is the fight we want, but they can't take it.
We saw how that 5v5 went in this exact same location last time around, and it did not go well for the large rods. So they are going to have to play this very, very carefully. Carbon's going to path himself away from this one, and it looks like the call is just give up Cloud Soul. They can't get back into the river to contest.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard no matter which way you run it. I don't think you can win the fight, and even if you go for the steal, you have too many targets to worry about. Cho'Gath with the ultimate and the jungler. You would have to basically commit so much resources, Mordekaiser death roaming. But wait a second, okay.
That is both the Renata and the Kalista ults used there. Just in exchange for only the Ashe ultimate. Javi now moving forward. Gonna take a couple of bites out of these frontliners. Kalista just trying to hop away. Galliant, though, in deep, way too far forward. The Vi gonna get cut down. Renata will quickly follow. And the Cho'Gath, he's devouring AD carries over here behind the inhibitor. And we will be going to that third game, Way.
Yep. I was a little worried for them starting early mid-game. It was like 12-22. Last breath from Carbon coming out. No, and Nexus is going to fall. But yeah, I really thought like 13-22, they have so many elements. They were actually playing so well rotating-wise, but as soon as one team fight fell, that Baron call that didn't work out, I think that's kind of where the game started slipping from their grasp and from Mordekaiser's grasp as these began to fall off in these team fights. And a GSC and getting all that healing in, as long as, like we mentioned, the mid laner on the Victor, just getting so much work decomp. Having that Maelstrom out, even if you ult him, if you didn't ult him before he got it out, he's already made his impact on the fight. You can't stop it.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, Fridge wasn't having a great time in the lane up there. He definitely was getting bullied a little bit, but that Baron chomp was absolutely massive. And he really was getting so much work done in all those team fights towards the later stages of the game. So yeah, it was really just the side of Sitting on Wards, you know, playing their composition much better here this time around in game 2, I would say. And able to buy enough space for decomposition and for Cheetah to get those kills down in those critical moments and secure the Nexus.
Yeah, I think they played all their team fights out very well once they finally got to that point, and by then it was just an unstoppable force as far as a literal like death ball of characters. Like you did not want any part of that. But I think we are going to be heading into a break as game 3 is right around the corner. So stay tuned for the finale, the finale of this best of 3.
Absolutely.
Am I breaking through? Am I breaking through?
All right, guys, welcome back. Getting ready to hop back into it for game three. We're all tied up. The large rods were able to take game one, but the team fighting prowess of those who sit on wards able to come through there in that second game and bring us to this deciding third match. Wei, what kind of adaptations are you expecting now from the side of the large rods as the losers of that last game? One adaptation, of course, is they are swapping to blue side.
Yeah.
But what kind of picks do you expect them to prioritize? What kind of strategy do you think they're going to go for?
So being on blue side means that they get the option for first pick, which knowing that they will not have, by the way, any bans as well for this final game
Right.
is
Yeah.
a very big factor for them being able to take the Seraphine from the enemy team if that's the way they want to go about it. Knowing that the Callisto Renata has maybe run its course for game one and game two, it's time to switch to something new. I could definitely see that being a potential thing. They have to worry about all these team fighting capabilities. So if you're going to pick these split options, you have to really, we already know how good of a team fight front to back that sitting on ward is able to do. I kind of like their idea from game one more, where they just make a chaotic late game scaling team and they just have to put the pieces together. And because we know that as good as it looked for them in the middle game, team fights are just a magnet. Everyone wants to be a part of them. And speaking of magnets, by the way, Crewman, I have to ask you,
Oh.
do you have any suitors lined up, by the way? You have any
suitors?
Yeah, you have any suitors? You have any
Like suit making people, like people who make suits? Is that what you're
Yeah.
referring to there, Mr. Wei?
Do you have any potential partners or anything going on right now, Crewman? Because I have to say, there is fierce competition in the chat for you right now. You have a lot of secret admirers going on.
No, I don't have anything lined up right now. You know, I will say, I'm not necessarily expecting to meet the one in Twitch chat, but you know, crazier things have happened. Could always be surprised. You know, if anybody out there in Twitch chat is really feeling it, shoot your shot. You never know. You never know. But speaking of shots, Seraphine is going to get taken away here by the large rods. That first pick will be in all three games tonight across both of the squads. Clearly, the Seraphine priority is just through the roof between these teams. Wei.
Yep, I kind of expected this one, especially when you don't even have the opportunity to ban it out. You should be ready to take it and have a comp ready for it, and it looks like that is the case. But I have seen this bot lane rather before, Seraphine Kaisa, and I've never thought fondly about it as far as early game goes. And especially now that Kaisa's early game is even weaker than it used to be, I really want to see the Seraphine potentially flex mid, but then it has to go against potential Kali in the mid lane, so that's not looking great either.
Yeah. It's gonna be an interesting one here. We could, of course, see the Kaisa mid lane get busted back out here, and then maybe some Seraphine carry bot action.
I've never seen NA pull off Kaisa mid lane, but it could be today. I would love to see as an opportunity. I do think that we're gonna have to see how aggressive a lane that this Changchetta can pull out here. It looks like the Ashe being picked up. So, you know, if they get like a Misfortune support or something else, like poke heavy, it could outpoke the Seraphine. I don't love it if you're going for like a pull character. It's okay to put the Ashe in here as an engage option, I suppose. Still getting that Phrase Lord synergy, a couple
True.
You know, a little move speed buff. They control the ice element, so they give like better splows. I'm joking, of course, but
yeah.
I don't know. It seems like they could have punched the bot lane harder. It looks like they're just gonna handshake scaling bot lanes, I suppose, with a potential mid game push to one side or the other. And the set being picked up, so Nielsu Large is dipping into this team fight all the way. I mean, of course, that splitting with a potential hull breaker, something you might need to worry about, or if they go Triforce and do the forbidden, like 0-10 build the boss and take down Inhibitor Tower somehow. But I don't think that's going to be happening. I think we're just going to be looking at, like I said, a magnet to all these objectives where everyone will find their polar opposites in conjunction with them. Their teams will match 1-for-1 at these objectives, is what I'm expecting.
Yeah, definitely. That is most of what we have been seeing so far tonight. Everybody really feeling those team fights. Everybody wanting to get their hands dirty a little bit. And I, of course, do agree. I don't necessarily expect the set to be doing a whole lot of split pushing. It's not necessarily what you pick the champion for. But we'll see how it goes. If the side of sitting on wards, throw us a little bit of a curveball and go for not necessarily as much of a team fighting composition, then maybe the set will have to answer somebody in a side lane.
Yeah.
We'll have to see. That's Zach going to get locked in here for sitting on wards. Very interesting. So now both Trundle and Zach being locked in means one of them, Mr. Way, is not going into the jungle.
Well, I've seen more Zach laning than I have seen Trundle laning in recent
Really?
years. But
I think I've seen more Trundle laning.
really, I think I could go either
Trundle
way.
top.
So, yeah, Trundle top is something that can actually 1v1 the set, which is what I was going to say is like, if you are splitting a set, you have to worry about the Trundle, or I was going to say the Trundle ganking you or just like 1v1ing you with the ult. And that is ever so more the case when you have to lane against them. So,
Definitely.
although I do think the Trundle pick, while it has the Fraser synergy, is kind of a weird pick, especially to put in lane for sitting on wards teams, because they tend to pick... Yeah, Fridge, okay, well, maybe a Varus? I'm very... Wait, what if this is Zach support? Or Trundle support? Mayhaps?
I think it's Ashe support. My money is on Varus Ashe bot lane. Because Ashe support is something that has been rising to prominence recently. We've been seeing it a lot in solo queue. It's actually a very heavy roaming style, is most of what I've been seeing. I don't know what your take is on the Ashe support.
I typically see it run mandate almost all the time, and maybe roam, but maybe just... I guess they have a nice poke lane that could theoretically punish the Seraphine Kaisa. It's kind of weird, though. Let's take a look at what Pro Comps has to say about this.
Yes.
Seems like we have the blue side ready for a split. So we are looking at needlessly large. Picking up that Seraphine, it seems to think
wants
that they have
the set to go side lane, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, Malzahar also having really good split potential and being able to have some amount of pick there. But the siege from on the side of sitting on wards, absolutely so strong. You have Varus and Ashe. So the thing is, I think they have honestly more... It's weird. They kind of reversed selections. Now they picked a lot of weird counterpick lanes that are just have a lot of maybe split potential themselves, or just ability to outduel their lanes, as well as just not a very clear team fighting comp, I would say.
On the side of sitting on wards?
Yeah, on the side of sitting on wards for sure. They have like the Akali to get in the back line. They have Varus and Ashe sitting on their own back line, and I guess the Zach could theoretically peel for them a little bit, but I don't... I think it's just going to be chaotic fights coming in from their side and seeing if they can get early leads, which I'm not sure if that's really their style.
Yeah, we'll see. It definitely, I do agree. It does appear to be a little bit of a different look coming out from sitting on wards, and I think it was tipped off pretty early with the Akali lock-in.
Yeah,
she can be a strong team fighter, of course, but again, it's not really what you pick the champion for necessarily. And over here, if we take a look at the other side at what has been drafted by the large rods, they have a good amount of dive with the Kaisa and with the Set and the Sejuani, of course. And then they have a lot of CC, just an incredible amount of CC with the Malzahar ultimate, the Seraphine, able to follow up on a lot of those other abilities. So, this sort of skirmishing style that sitting on wards appears to be going for here, I think may have a little bit of a difficult time into what the large rods have.
It really depends on how they approach team fights, and that's kind of been a big thing for the past couple games, and I'm glad to see that it's also going to hinge on the ending, or rather at least the mid game of this game, because the way I see it, right, is that Kaisa has a very decent front to back this game, as an extremely strong front to back this game. If that's the way they choose to run it. So if Akali engages prematurely with the Zac, then basically what they can do is they can send Set to wall or to peel very easily, or send Sejuani ults the other way to kind of stop the rest of the team. Even though Varus Ashe have kind of far poke, it's not so far that they can really just, avoid the
It's not like oppressive poke. Their poke is on a relatively longish cooldown.
So basically they can front to back and not have Kaisa dive. Because think about it. What happens if Kaisa dives and she gets hit by Enchanted Arrow and she's sitting there in front of, Varus and, maybe a Trundle or maybe an Akali.
Yeah.
Although I doubt Akali will be sitting backline too much. That could be a real thing that happens. And on the other side, there's these micro interactions that we're going to see because Akali going in on the enemy team can sometimes start a fight by herself or get a pick. But actually, because Kaisa's W, the plasma shot, gives true vision on invisible characters, it's actually really hard for Akali to go in and be safe when you have all of these AoE, especially all these AoE and point and clicks CC things. So basically, what I'm trying to say is that team fights kind of look favored to the front to the back that NLR has set up, especially with the Seraphine, although there is a chance because sitting on wards now has to play a very chaotic fight. But the problem is that you have these poke characters and they don't fin super well off by themselves. And that's kind of where I see it falling through.
Definitely.
If anything gets started, too, the other big thing is that if your team is front to backing for you, then it's so easy for kind of NLR to just walk in there with Sejuani ult on top of Set, ulting your Zac into your 80 carries, and there's basically no way to come back from that either. So you pretty much have to play a split push game almost the entire time. I would like to see this Trundle build Hullbreaker, go to the side lane, and just try to 1v1 the Set the entire time. Same thing with Akali. Just look to never fight a team fight if possible. And I don't really know what the real purpose of your Varus and Ashe are going to be in team fights, but pick potential is incredibly high. Of course, the Enchanted Crystal Arrow can come down from anywhere in the map. That's a straight up global, but Varus can also land a pretty nice ult onto someone, get some stacks off. Maybe he goes the AP version and they just go straight poke, and we just don't really team fight traditionally.
We'll see. Yeah, I mean, I definitely... You discussed, there are some team fight tools available as well. Some team fights at some point in this game surely are inevitable. And I think they do have some things to work with. They are able to engage from a pretty far way away. They have the Zac this game in addition, of course, to the Ashe. So they have, a little bit more in terms of engage options. You mentioned the Varus ultimate as well. And they do have a lot of burst damage this time around, of course, from the Akali, being able to take away those resistances with the subjugate from the Trundle. To be able to try and deny those frontliners to actually try and win out in that front to back that you were kind of hinting at earlier. But it will definitely be an interesting game. They will have to find some unique angles, I think. But let's get one more prediction from you tonight, Way. Where are we going with this last game?
I think that this time NLR has taken the cake. They've got the Seraphine on their side now, and Seraphine can win in the draft. I think it can happen.
Okay. Is the power of the Seraphine just too much? Too much to overcome? It wasn't enough for the sitting on wards squad in game number 2. But maybe a Rule 34 Zyra is going to show them how it's done. We'll be right back with the deciding third game of the night. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Summoner's Rift for the third and final time of the night. Beautiful Thursday night here for some League of Legends. It's week 7, the deciding match, the last match, I believe, of the regular season for both of these two squads, fighting for that third place spot.
This could be it. Every game that you kind of take here as sitting on wards makes you closer to guaranteeing that playoff position at the 4th spot. So you cannot
sitting on
be
wards
sleeping.
are actually, I believe, guaranteed at 3 now because they were able to take at least one game in the series tonight, I believe is the math on that. Yes, and needlessly large rods may actually also be guaranteed 4th at this point since they were also able to pick up a win, but I'm not as sure about that one. I think they might be still fighting for 4th depending on how that other match is going between Pref No Leash.
Right. Okay, I got a little
second place
backwards.
Team.
Yeah. Needlessly large basically needs to get this win to make sure that they're closer to maintaining that 4th place position.
Exactly, yes.
Okay. But yeah, it's going to depend on other factors, and we're going to have to live to see what those are because there is space, there is room for improvement from all sides.
Certainly. We are seeing a bottom side start for both junglers here in game 3. So Sejuani going to be skipping her Krugs, something that is relatively common these days.
Yeah, take the easy camps while you can. Maybe get a little faster gank on the top lane, which I do think is a pretty pivotal lane. A lead early on to either of these sides.
Nobody taking Ignite up there or anything like that, but still pretty volatile, I agree.
I mean, no Ignite for early game, but I think it doesn't matter. If you're Trundle, especially if you're Fridge, you take the TP for more split pushing opportunity, and not really for team fights at all. You just want to create that numbers advantage where you can, and you're going to eventually get the lead by getting to level 6, I think. So you don't need to play early aggressively, but Fridge showing us he can.
Yeah, he's really going to town there with the club, trying to show the boss a thing or two. He didn't miss, but neither did the boss. So we're still pretty even up here. Both top laners are about 50%.
Yep, I'm curious to see how aggressive he's going to take it because we've kind of just seen him take it basically as little fights as possible in the past couple games. So maybe this is his time to shine.
Maybe. We shall see. You know, Fridge, he has been playing the tanks, and now he's playing the tank counter.
Yeah,
so we'll see if it looks a little bit different for him this time around. Sejuani gonna make it look hopefully a little bit worse for him. That's gonna be the face breaker that ensures the Arctic Assault will land, and that will be a very comfortable first blood for the large rods top side.
Seem to be sleeping a little bit. That ward coverage not quite grasping his vision as he gets taken out by that Sejuani gank into the pull from the set. So not a good start from him, but mainly, like I said, his objective is to get to level 6. He does not necessarily need to fight Set before then. That said, if Set gets an early lead into a Blade of the Ruined King, that's a different story.
Yeah, then that will be pretty bad for the Trundle in that case. But you know, we'll see. It's that was the first blood money going into Set's pockets, of course. So he will be a little bit snowballed already here.
Yeah, but the gold isn't effective yet because he hasn't bought anything.
True.
So Trundle needs to make sure he doesn't get a huge cheater recall here off this wave so that he gets some compensation back for his TP, hopefully.
It is looking like a pretty big wave.
Yeah, kind of ideal situation for Stupid to back if he so desired. It looks like he's going to...
I think so.
Maybe he'll take it, maybe not. Bot lane, Seraphine has been poked a little bit, which we can tell because...
Afi has been very patient here towards this bottom side of the map. It did work out, of course, for him in the end last game. Going to land the slingshot and the stretchy strike. Zyra flashing away, trying to stay alive. Now the piercing arrow will connect. One more auto attack. Oh, they need, and Sheta will find the arrow that he needed there. Will get paid for that one.
Yep.
And we're all tied up 1-1.
And I love being aggressive because you can see all that vision control on the bottom side. They know that if they can get the gank off, they don't need to be necessarily so worried about a Sejuani. So good map control from them, getting the start of that bot lane domination, hopefully against that Seraphine. But Rule 34 Zyra did go down a lot of mana, and of course they're going to first back and buy a tier to compensate for that lack thereof. Maybe it'll help him a bit in this lane. But Kaisa, look at how big a CS deficit they're looking at.
Ooh, yeah, definitely not where you want to be as Avarusi. Did also take the cleanse, notably, into this lane. It's actually heal being run by Zyra there on the Seraphine. Very confusing. But regardless, it is a very defensive summoner spell loadout for the large rod bottom side here in this one.
I kind of don't love going cleanse necessarily, but it's okay. It's all right.
I mean, you understand why, right? You're against Ashe and Varus,
Yeah.
and both of them have CC on their ultimates, and if you don't take the cleanse, and they're just gonna layer the CC, and you're not gonna have any counterplay, so, you know, it definitely does make some amount of sense, but, you know, going defensive for a defensive option on the Kaisa, just in general, is not going to feel amazing.
The one thing that's kind of basically makes me feel it's awkward is because that tells me you want to go into the Ashe and Varus, because I don't really see you getting picked that much as Kaisa in this comp. You want to go into the back line and not play the fight front to back, so that's why you take the cleanse. But if you take exhaust here, you're basically just safe from Akali instead, which is what I would have liked to see, but you know, maybe it'll pan out.
We'll see. We'll see how it all does play out, of course, like you say. It is not doing any favors in terms of the laning phase.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Is what we can say. That is what we can say for sure. And the dragon, though, looks like it will be secured here by the large rods, bot prio or no. I think it was really just a timing window there that they were able to take advantage of as that bot lane was getting pushed out.
Yep.
So
I don't think this dragon is particularly super important as last game, but it is still pretty important when you're dealing with a split comp that you start getting those objectives on the board as early as possible.
Stridebreaker for the stun here. Fridge does have the subjugate available in just about 1 second. The showstopper, of course, also available for Stupid on the set. See if these top laners want to throw down up here. It's kind of a tense moment as both are trading with each other.
I'm not sure how great the Blade of the Ruined King build is on set right now, but I would have preferred to see him go it because now he's just always going to get out-sustained by the Trundle. And at some point, I mean,
Set does have some passive health regen as well. Here we go. There's the showstopper into the tower. How many tower shots onto the Trundle? Only one. Oh, there's two. There's two. Flash for the chomp. Oh my god, Fridge gets it, but he goes down to the tower in the end, and the top laners will trade 1 for 1. But the summoner spell advantage held by Stupid on the set did not use his flash.
Yep, and has TP to pick up this wave, so while the wave management didn't look amazing, it doesn't look so bad once you use that TP to pick it all up.
Oh, Decomposition found the E. Is he going to go back in? Here comes Zach with the Elastic Slingshot. Decomposition going to be very patient here. Provide his time. Does have to use the second activation of the Perfect Execution, though. There was timing out. So not going to have that. Oh, just barely sidesteps the Glacial Prison. Backing off just in time. I think we are backing off, right? Right? Yes, okay, we are backing off. We did lose the Rift Herald, but it's okay. Not going to be all that impactful.
Malzahar's Rift minion almost stealing a Raptor from that Zac. Put him down, making sure that Sejuani keeps that CS lead.
Just space aids, you know, very, very contagious. From Malzahar, just getting all over all those jungle camps near the mid lane.
Yep, bot lane. Looking like a little bit of a CS gap, if I do say so. At the current moment, once again, Kaisa Seraphine is just not a super strong synergistic lane. It's not really going to pop off for a while, but they are 6.
Oh, that's... oh, yep. Seraphine does not have Cleanse Way, and that means that she is dead.
Not even deciding to pop the heal. I think the correct choice as you are getting bursted so fast. It's one thing when you can maybe dodge the Varus ult. It's another thing when, the Varus Q, but it's another thing when it's just guaranteed under that Crystal Arrow. There is no way to move out of that. And Avarusi making a final stand of this tower, but tower platings are going to go down, creating a bigger bot lead. But top side...
All right, they're going at it once again, but guess who's here? It's Javi. Oh, the Showstopper is very nicely timed, but I don't think it's going to save him. The Haymaker is good. The Haymaker is good, and he actually almost was able to trade one back there, but it wasn't good enough. Stupid goes down once again. He actually does have a nice little CS advantage for himself up there in the top lane as well. But it's going to be a little bit mitigated now after he does go down once again.
Yep, no TP, so Trundle, especially with some decent ward coverage. I mean, I guess they technically don't know Sejuani could be coming topside, but I think he's going to take as many platings.
Position is going to get Nether Grasp to the face, but the stretchy strikes. Oh, the flash for the Let's Bounce gets the knockback. Nicely played there from Javi. Sets it up very well.
Absolutely beautiful.
They are going to be able to knock down that kill onto Carbon, the heart and soul, right, of this Large Rod's lineup. Just take him out. Now, pretty significant advantage. Javi is going to find the engage. Ignite comes down, and the Sejuani will flash away to keep herself alive.
Okay, yeah, definitely flash away. Don't give that Akali a potential lead. She burned the Ignite as well. Ash came up for that roam. You were talking about how this was a little bit more roam heavy. Barely missed the Crystal Arrow on the mid lane, and that could have definitely... Yeah, that could have spelled her doom for certain. So they're going to continue, I think, looking for these picks. Now, it does mean there's a little bit less pressure on Kai'Sa Seraphine bot lane, and maybe that will affect this next game coming up.
I don't think we saw that Sejuani coming. That's going to be an encore onto 2, and that is going to be a death onto 2. I have to imagine Sejuani under the tower. Can't tank up much more, though. Actually, tanked one too many. Oh, the heal, though, is there from Zyra to keep the jungler alive. Good use of that summoner spell, and they are able to get 1 kill. So good gank from Galliant. Was a little bit close there, overchased a little bit under the tower, but no harm, no foul.
And a great gank from Sejuani, even though walking over 3 wards, kind of maybe sleeping on their wards at the moment.
Yeah.
A little bit of an oversight from them. We also do have to pay attention to them, but I think they're going to get it cleared up okay. The rift going down is a pretty big deal, although I'm not sure who got that goal, if it went down to Avarussi or if it just went down to the Sejuani, but that might be a little bit of a factor. I think Avarussi was just, you know, terrified of the Crystal Arrow into the Varus ults. And that does look like it's going to be a little bit of momentum gained after that back to take this dragon coming up.
Yeah, it looks like we will be able to tie up that dragon count. Meanwhile, Decomposition is hunting for a red buff, but he will not be able to do anything about that. Does not have the smite, of course.
Okay.
Top laner still going at it up here.
Looks like Set is opting to also go to the Blade of the Ruined King build. Just took a little detour on that Ninja Tab Eyes first. We have a lead on this Set.
Carbon is here. And the showstopper away from the mid laner, though, I think is not necessarily what you want. Haymaker on cooldown, but just barely. The Malzahar will get in range for the Nether Grasp, and the shutdown will come through for the Set. Stupid picks it up.
Yep.
And all is right with the top lane, if you ask the needlessly large rods now, as Set has regained his lead.
This is a very big problem going in. Fridge actually needs to generate some pressure at some point.
Decomposition did just barely manage to make it away from the tower as his minion wave was dying. Does use the perfect execution, pretty much just to escape on that one. And he will lose it.
Well, it does, but as I was saying before, that Breach is not really an impact yet, or is not in a position to make an impact. And also going for the Merc Treads means that we're going to be waiting quite a bit for them to finish that Blade, way behind what Set is having with that 20 CS lead and 1 more kill. They didn't get any platings, I think, either. Well, I don't know how many. They maybe got 1 or 2 platings on that one good engage that he got. But from now on, he really needs to take this tower somehow, because he has no real way to force a kill onto the Set. Of course, if he uses the ultimate, he can win the fight, but that's only if Set decides to take it.
Very cheeky invade there from Fridge's top lane Trundle. Remember, this is a Trundle with no smite and also no health ball. That was a little bit too cheeky.
No smite, no health, no women. He is alone and gray in his world right now.
No suitors for the Troll King. Soj.
But yeah, well, that's kind of the opposite of what I said needed to happen for the Troll King himself. But there's one thing he can do: he can troll.
He sure did there. Yes, I did some great trolling. Very well played by Trundle.
that's the game plan you want, you can have it. They've
the name.
They need to fight for this rift if possible. I would like to see a GSC walk up for it, at least throw the arrow down for it. Maybe. I'm not actually sure they win. Akali doesn't have the item yet, and Urban does have the Leandries. So they may need to get that pick first. But Javi does not find an angle.
Just push in mid for now. That's the ultimate underneath the tower. They're going to be able to take the tier 1, and they're going to be able to take the Seraphine as well. I have to imagine piercing arrow. What's the cooldown? Too long. Cheddar not going to be able to pick up that kill after all. Seraphine will... Oh, Decomposition has made his way down here, though. And just a little bit more damage. The perfect execution under the tower. He gets it. The Shroud, the move speed, not enough. The last tower shot will finish him off. It's a 1-for-1, and the Akali did use everything, actually, for that 1-for-1. So not exactly how Decomposition wanted that one to go. And his mid lane is a little bit in shambles at the moment. Fridge is going to make his way over here to try and turn this one around. Elastic Slingshot will connect, but here comes another grass though, but it's interrupted by the Let's Bounce from the Zac, and Carbon has no tools left, no flash, no hope. Galliant now getting jumped on, getting slingshot on, excuse me. But he would be able to charge away.
Yeah. Even though, oh whoa, Galliant maybe deciding to take part in this jungling that was happening. No, thought maybe it was theirs, but not so longer. Now, even though the Trundle does not have the Blade of the Rude King yet, we maybe do not sleep on the Trundle entirely. You don't have your AD carry there to deal a lot of damage to him. He will take you down, and Carbon going 0-2, but still has a nice CS lead over the Akali. With that Rift, they've done a lot of damage. They got some gold onto Sejuani at least, and maybe their bot lane. They took a lot of tower hits mid. Who is looking to fall with another good push from them, and they have that siege potential and a good front to back. So after this dragon, something they're going to be looking for if they can take it cleanly.
Definitely. We are, of course, even still in dragons at just 1-1. Gonna be a what is our soul this game? It says Cloud on the UI, but that's definitely not right because the last dragon was Cloud. Ooh, Enchanted Crystal Arrow connects onto the Seraphine. The engage does come through, the perfect execution, and the Seraphine is just deleted from the rift. 1-man advantage now for the ward sitters. They should be able to move into the river and secure this third dragon. It does appear to be a Hextech soul for us once again.
Hextech soul. It's pretty a decent, kind of even soul for both of them to have. Pretty highly contested, I should think. But yeah, they just have too much prio on all these objectives. Even though the early on objectives were very much in the OCLR's favor.
Chain of Corruption connects. It's too much CC. Galliant, he's trying to charge away. He's flashing. He's doing everything he can to stay alive, but it's just not enough. Bridge takes a bite out of him. 9-6 now in kills. Sitting on wards have picked up a number of advantages just in the last couple of minutes.
Did I say that sitting on wards was doing a non-team fight comp? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe I should amend my statement. It seems it doesn't matter what sort of characters they pick. They are the best at the 5-stack. They can make the death ball work no matter what it is. They have the synergy. It's the Fresh Lord. Maybe that's it.
Maybe that is it. Yeah, maybe the key was just the Freljord synergy all along. The Ashe nor the Trundle was denied, and therefore they're still able to make the 5v5 work just fine. Oh, Agassi thinks he's dead, so he's just going to go for the trade kill, but he's not going to find it. Although that was a lot that was used. That was the heal from the Seraphine plus the set ultimate, but they did get the kill onto the support Ashe. Varus, though, was bought enough time to make his way out of there. So Cheddar is just fine. But, you know, good for the side of Large Rods to get a kill back there. That is what they need to be doing.
They've kind of lost a lot of momentum in the past 3 or 4 minutes. Even though Trundle hasn't really generated any lead, which I did think needed to happen, they've managed to take this game kind of just by force. They faced the Buffalo face on and just kind of took the brunt of it and flipped it over is what it seems to be happening. They just decide like, oh, I guess we win team fights now. And that seems to be the case, I guess, with their bot lane having such a demanding lead now, like what, a 60 CS difference. And
it is very significant,
Yeah, they actually managed to get, I didn't see it, but they managed to get that second tier bot tower, which I believe is like 600 gold or something. It's like a ridiculous amount. whatever it is.
And I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, and you can see it reflected in their actions. They just want to take every single fight they can get.
Oh, Crystal Arrow comes out. Not going to find its mark that time around, though. Just sails on by towards the enemy fountain.
I mean, especially if you do get something started, I wouldn't say you're a team fight comp, but if you do get anything started, you have the Ash Mandate with Crystal Arrow and the slow with the increased damage. The Zac can easily follow up. So it's kind of hard to rotate correctly against a team that is so strong in this stage of the game particularly, and has some very decent split push potential.
Yeah, definitely. We are hitting some spikes fairly soon here. I believe the Akali is maybe 600 to 800 gold away from her second item. She's sitting on just under 1,000 right now in the inventory. Already has the alternator there, so pretty close to that second item. That's going to be an Arctic Assault forward, but the Crystal Arrow does connect at the exact same time, so the engage going to be a little bit disjointed here for the large rods. Encore comes out, connects onto the Ashe, but Varus is still safe, free hitting from that back line, able to find the piercing arrow onto the jungler, and Sheda picks up number 2. 5v4 on the map now in favor of the ward sitters. Looks like they're going to continue to pressure in mid for now.
Yeah, they are lacking some definitive damage coming out from their side. They don't quite have the burst that they had before, and it shows that in these fights they cannot make the pick or make the team fight even happen.
They do have very good wave clear with the Malzahar and the Seraphine, so they are able to deny any kind of siege from coming through, but Zac will take away the chicken camp, as we just saw. And the side of those who sit on wards, they have their eyes set on this 4th dragon, the 2nd Hextech dragon, that will be spawning in about 45 seconds. They would love to put themselves on Soul Point. And if you give Varus and Ashe Hextech Soul, that's going to be pretty difficult to play against.
They have so much burst and damage, sustained damage, both all around. One thing that I did forget to mention in this draft is that although the front to back is easier to play with, that a lot of it relies on the Kai'Sa being even to a head. And that is not where we stand at all in this draft. She did finally pick up that PD, so that second item is going down, but Kai'Sa takes a while to scale, and it may be too late. As we're approaching the mid game, where Varus is sitting there with Last Whisper, the mandate's already been down. A GSC just has a fully stacked tier, and the Moonstone. And Moonstone's well and great, but I don't think it's going to be stopping the burst that's coming down from Akali Varus.
Okay, Carbon's going to get discovered in the jungle here, but it's just a Zac all by his lonesome, so he doesn't have any kill pressure there just yet. Just gets the spell shield off. Oh, Glacial Prison flashed away from by Cheetah. That was, I believe, a necessary flash. An arrow going to connect now onto the Sejuani. Can they burn down the front line? It's Javi who's getting burned. The Encore comes out, connects onto the Zac. Is that going to be enough? The Showstopper into the backline. Stupid looking for the big play. Zac goes into the passive, but the set gets cut down. The Trundle traded back. Both top laners go down. Decomposition flies into the backline, and he will be able to take out the Seraphine, but once again trades himself forward. Avarusi with the killer instinct forward, but I don't think that was the play. And now it is going to be a 4-for-2 fight that Setting Awards will emerge very much victorious from. They will find themselves at Hextech Soul Point, and also with about a 3,000 gold lead.
Yep, the execution required on their part is very high now. 3k gold lead was just mentioned. The Dragon Soul Point stack cards are currently being held up against them. Javi is making those earlier game, the previous game, jungles look like flukes compared to this one. He is absolutely dominating the pace of this game, and all these engages and all these leads are getting in there. We're going to take it back for a quick replay on that last team fight.
Let's see.
So we kind of see Ash Mandate getting procced on all the team members. Even though the fight started to look good, the Seraphine ult didn't really connect where we wanted it to. Stupid in the back line, but just deleted.
That is just not tanky at all. Bork Stridebreaker.
Yeah, it's what it was is that Varus getting that percentile missing health, wasn't able to get that shield out in time. By this time, it's too late, Avarusi. This is not your calling. You are not that guy. As he gets taken out by 3 members of the enemy team with 1 CC and 2 ADCs, it is over.
Yeah, definitely. It looked kind of close at the start. You know, they were burning down the Zac, but he had the passive, right? He died, but he didn't really die. And they were able to turn around that fight so effectively with the damage from the Varus, as you mentioned. So now a very, very big lead currently held by sitting on wards. Gallant gonna do a little bit of face checking here in the Triad Brush, but once again, it's just a lonely Zac. That is going to be another grasp onto a very dead Akali. Wow, that's just too much CC. And Decomposition is going to drop. He does have the teleport when he respawns in 40 seconds. And the mid-prio, I suppose, will be too much. Will deny any kind of cheeky Baron start. Zac will be able to slingshot away. That looks like a little bit of a dangerous one, but he will escape.
Slightly surprised Fridge hasn't tried to all-in this set. He is up the mythic item, just a little bit of gold, but I think that the Trundle base kit is enough. But meanwhile, Set is going to rotate up early.
Rotating over. Okay, Trundle is teleporting in also. Javi going for the let's bounce here. Gallant flashing away, but the Crystal Arrow gonna finish him off there. It's not even set up. It's just for the last hits. That's the showstopper. Back into the scoop, but turn it around. He's just not tanky enough. He gets popped once again as soon as he goes in with the ultimate. But it is going to be a kill onto the Malzahar as well. He just gets run down.
No, yeah, Carbon walked right back into his death. He just said, "End me now," and that's kind of the state of the game. These team fights are the one thing they kind of had going for them, is that they could control these team fights with a little bit of that front to back, and as long as they had the damage. But alas, the conditions were not met. I think Fridge will be okay here from that last hit of the Baron. The other two ADCs will be able to hopefully take it. Wait a second, they do reduce damage.
Trundle. They don't have a jungler here. There is no jungler here. They have no smite. The Trundle will fall to the Baron, but they do pick up the buff. And Akali is going to be split pushing with Baron now. She's level 15. It's pretty scary their way.
Yeah, Akali's level 15. Even though, you know, I put so much emphasis on Trundle being ahead being the easiest win con to get as a part of the game, and that has been completely just like slapped in my face. Is like, who cares? That's not the route we're doing.
Almost just got
oh my god!
The Glacial Prison going to connect to deny the one shot from coming through. Crystal Arrow once again going to sail by majestically. Because Javi probably can't continue the fight without that landing. He says, no, actually, I'm definitely going to continue this fight. And Gallant says, oh, you will? Okay, thank you very much. I'm just going to stun you. And then everybody's going to walk away, I guess.
Yeah, watch out. The Varus ultimate is still available if they do decide to want the team fight.
Yeah, definitely. Most ultimates are available right now. Crystal Arrow actually is on... What an insanely low cooldown. He literally just used it, and it's back already.
Yeah,
I don't know what that cooldown is. It's got to be like 20 seconds.
No, especially once they get level 16, dude. Whatever pick you want, you can have it on a silver platter.
Assuming the arrow lands, of course.
It's a matter of it doesn't even matter your accuracy. It's just going to eventually land.
Oh, just like if you just use it enough, like eventually it'll work.
Exactly.
What is that? Law of large numbers or something?
Exactly. Okay. They're gonna have a really hard time sieging into this, but maybe if they can get them into a good stack.
This is Hextech Soul on the table, 5 seconds. That is why, of course, the large rods desperately need to make their way into this river somehow, some way. But Fridge is there with a pillar to try to deny them. They will make their way in here through the bottom side. Here comes Javi, though, with the slingshot. Denied by the Arctic Assault from the Set 20. Now Set, once again, going into the back line. Has the big haymaker, gets a lot of damage down, but gets popped, of course, once again. 1 for 1. The Ashe also goes down. Javi extremely low. Don't know if he has the passive right now, but here comes Decomposition. The Akali's just assassinating people. And, oh, actually, the Akali gets assassinated by Avarusi coming alive maybe on the Kaisa. No, the Hail of Arrows gonna finish him off. Zac gonna respawn with the blobs. Didn't have that passive after all. And it's gonna be Malzahar portaling for the hills. He's gonna try and teleport back to mid lane. Looks like he will be able to make his way out of here, but this will be the Hextech Soul going over to Varus and Ashe, and I just don't know if the large rods have many more options left to them.
That team fight was actually played executionally so well by them. So we had the Sejuani at the very beginning stopping the Zac from jumping in, and then even towards the end, Avarusi finally showing his true colors. Diamond in the rough perhaps evaded all of the Akali skill shots, flashed in front. I thought they were going to get immediately bursted down by the 3 members, but played it off really nice, ulting right behind the Q and the Shuriken's whiff as Kaisa picked it up. So if they could just get that damage consistently in these next few team fights, I would say maybe, but like you said, Soul has already happened. That point just makes, I mean, it's not, you know, it's not Infernal Soul levels of burst damage that we're going to be looking at with this Akali, but if she gets on you, and they have 2 ADCs, mind you, and a Trundle who all make use of this attack speed steroid they're getting, I don't think they can weather the storm.
Yeah, it was a close fight, that last one in the river, but the fights, they're not going to get any easier for the side of Large Rods. Decomposition going back in. Look at that damage from the Akali. Set's going to use the Haymaker, but he's down to 50% health. He does still have a turret, though, so not going to get chased down by the Ninja. Not yet, anyway. But that turret might not mean as much as he thinks it means. Here comes the Goon Squad. Although Sejuani, the rest of the side of Needlessly Large Rods is also rotating up here. Looks like a 5v5 maybe in the top lane. Brit trying to move forward, but he's getting CC'd up so much by this Sejuani. Both top laners going down once again at the start of this fight. Let's bounce. Moving forward here is Javi. They're going to be able to pick up the Kaisa and the Seraphine as well. You can see the Hextech Soul getting them that little bit of extra damage. I don't know if they even needed it, to be totally honest with you. It's a decisive team fight win for the Ward Sitters, and they might even be able to push to end.
Yeah, no, that... Oh, these team fights look so scary, and they're not even a team fighting comp. Imagine the full strength of their power on this sort of thing. But I guess if you get those leads in early enough, the snowball will happen. 10-1 on the Varus. They're going to take these inhibs, or at least one of the inhibs, and make out with their way. No, they want more. They could be looking at a game-ending push.
I think they can end. They got 3 seconds on Zyra. There's 5 seconds on Set, but at least one of these Nexus turrets is going to fall. We're going to have the respawns coming in, though. With Set back alive, they're not going to risk it. They're going to take that Hex Gate out of the enemy base. And they will reset. The Baron is spawning less than a minute now. So that is something that these squads need to be keeping in mind.
They have the inhibitor for top lane, which is kind of the worst ones when you know you're going to be contesting Baron because it's easy to push out the wave and then rotate. So it's not completely over for Needlessly Large Rods. They have some leeway to at least make a stand at this Baron. I don't think they have super high pick potential, but if the Akali goes in too early, they could theoretically take them down with a good misplay. And if they start getting that rolling, they take out that shutdown from the Varus, or that bounty from the Varus rather, and give it onto that Kaisa so she gets that last item she needs to really get rolling.
I don't know, way. It seems like a bit of a stretch for me. You know, with this set, the set is not built for team fights. We've seen it over and over again. Every time he goes in, he just gets exploded.
Yeah, no, it's rough with this lead, so it's going to be a tough one. It's really a question of, as long as they don't make any mistakes, how are we going to close this one out? They have shown a strong performance, and they
Seraphine. There's a chain of corruption over the wall as well. It's just too much CC. Seraphine, once again, just has no counterplay whatsoever. The Javi, the Zac, maybe a little bit too far overextended here. Doesn't have the rest of his team with him right now, but they will be able to catch up and cover his escape. But another pick acquired by sitting on wards. They're going to be able to move back towards the Baron now. And I don't think a contest is possible. We see Galliant on the Sejuani just not really moving over here. They're trying to clear out mid-wave. Baron is already getting shredded, though. It's gone. And now the question becomes, Way, does Needlessly Large Rods have the ability to hold against the Baroned up sitting on ward squad here? Can they withstand the siege?
It's so difficult. We have the Baron, you have some wave clear, but a lot of that wave clear is AP damage coming in from the Malzahar and the Seraphine, so all of a sudden you're looking at a lot of minions that only really Set and Kaisa do sort of any comparable damage to whatsoever, and it's not that high. We've seen how good their pick is, and we've seen how good they play their team fights. So, from all fronts, they are just suffocating them.
Well, maybe if sitting on wards just don't really use their Baron buff and just set up for Elder instead, then it'll be fine. You know, until they take the... But,
well, I kind of think that they just win the game with Baron, but they seem to think that they need to take everything on the map. If this Elder, this is one of the ways that they could potentially lose, is if this Elder goes to the enemy team somehow. Now, Nielsen Large should be somewhat cognizant of their ability to turn the game on this Elder. I would have to think that they have to make some sort of steal attempt. And as long as they know this and plays correctly...
Good attempt there on the Glacial Prison from Galliant, but the reaction was there from Cheddar. Keeps himself safe. Remember, we gotta watch the positioning from this man. He had a couple of mispositions early on in the series, but he has been quite good here in Game 3 and continues to be good as he avoids that Sejuani ultimate. They are going to be able to break the bot lane inhibitor now. And we were a little bit, okay, that's going to be the slingshot interrupted. Going for the 3 inhibitors and the jungler. Going to get taken out here. The left bounce onto the entire team. Oh, it's over.
Oh my
It's more than over. Oh my goodness. They just kind of all walked up to Zach, and they all hopped into the bouncy castle, and I hope they enjoyed it. But now their Nexus will explode, and sitting on wards will finish the season strong, leaving no doubt that they are the 3rd place team here in Division 1.
No doubt whatsoever. That was a dominating Game 3. Played well macro and micro wise. I thought for a second they were like, oh, we're going to troll with this Elder flip in a second. But no, they kept it clean. They just took them out. Like, getting those mid-game fights for them were so strong. Even when they didn't have a comp that was mainly fully suited to it, just making sure that their bot lane didn't get that Kai'Sa 2 ahead seemed to be the ticket. And they took it 2-1. And for sure, making sure that they are the 3rd place and maybe putting Nielsen Large in a little bit of a precarious situation. Maybe they won't even have to see them in the playoffs.
Maybe. You know, we still have to wait on word on how that other series went. Pref No Leash, of course, the team that was hoping to take that 4th place spot, did have a very difficult opponent as well. So it is still possible that the Large Rods will be able to hang on to that 4th place position. Of course, they did get 1 win from Game 1 in tonight's series as well, so that will count for something. They will get a point, I believe, at least from that. But yeah, definitely, they had a strong Game 1. I think we can say that from the Large Rods, but they ended up just getting outplayed in the fights, you know, down the stretch here.
All right, so MVP vote being called out. Who do you think got the MVP of all 3 games of this series? We have a couple of strong contenders. I think it's between Decomp and a GSE for me. I think both players played consistently decent throughout the entire series. So they didn't have like... Decomp, of course, made some nice team fights happen, got the scaling in, and every time that they were able to find a way in, they did it, even in a situation where we weren't expecting anything. And the Vex turned around the Yone for that team fight at the Baron fight, and that just completely changed the flow of the first game, even though they were not able to seal the deal. But that was certainly a big factor for them. And GC, on the other hand, you know, showed us that power in that Seraphine. Even 2v1 can take a beating and just be such a big threat with that pick potential alone. And doing pretty well Game 3 too. So get those votes in.
Definitely. The Seraphine was denied from him, of course, in that 3rd and final game. But he pulled out the Ashe counter pick, right? And he kind of continued to perform extremely well in tonight's match. So definitely like those Agassi votes, really like those decomposition votes as well. Personally, I want to give a little shout out to Fridge. I thought he was really consistent tonight, even in the loss in that first game. I thought he was pretty stable up there in the top lane, playing pretty well. And I really feel like, honestly, in this 3rd game, it kind of felt like a top jungle diff to me, just because I felt like Javi and Fridge were both doing such a great job of frontlining for their 2 marksmen, and their engages were just so clean, so decisive. So that's kind of where I would look. But That's a good
if you
performance.
look past the laning phase, I think Fridge did a fantastic job throughout the game,
Hmm.
right? Because even though he didn't come out with a lead, once he started showing up in these team fights, which none of us expected, he just started completely setting the way for his team to just basically just completely storm through, roll them down, have be that tanky front line, get rid of one target's resistances, and when they have so many tanky frontliners, of course, it's going to be easy then for your Ash with Mandate on top of your ult to just be able to melt them, shred them like butter. And we are getting a tie for
Oh
MVP,
man.
so Crewman, did you vote?
No, I didn't vote. I forgot to vote. Does that
Well,
mean I have to break the
yeah.
tie?
I voted. So I think you have the deciding factor here.
Okay. I think I want to talk to decomposition. I want to get him in here.
Okay, we want to get decomposition in, so
Oh,
looks like we will have it. Welcome in. Decomp, that was a wonderful showing. All three games played very consistently on those mid laners. And do you think okay, we also get a GC. Okay, so we're getting
Oh,
the
the
double
dual
interview.
interview. Very nice. Very
oh.
nice.
Hey, Eggy.
Spicy.
Congratulations to you both. The 2-1 on the night, locking in that third place at the end of the regular season. How are you guys feeling? Whoever wants to go first.
Take it, Eggy.
No, feeling good. I felt like we had some hard games. But I don't know, we were able to rally and figure out what we need to do to win. So
Could you elaborate on that a little bit more for us, possibly? What you needed to do to win, that is?
sure. I think we came reeling off a game two. Noticing just some ward positioning, noticing just kind of how they were playing very highly focused mid. So we made plays in other areas, and then after we came off the win of game two, we decided, okay, let's just go back on stuff we know that is comfort and that we can hard stomp with. So we switched it up. I think I was the only one that didn't follow that advice. Like, I've never done the Ash support with this team, and it was a lot of fun.
Yeah, no, you made it seem like you knew what you were doing for certain. So at least that innate synergy, you had the belief and they had the confidence in you, and that really showed. So my real question is you already kind of mentioned this, you already touched upon it, that you guys went comfort for game three. Of course, the Seraphim being taken away, and you just pulled the trigger on getting these counter picks. How did you guys expect that game three to be played? As far as macro and like team fighting and where the focus was.
Well, first off, we kind of saw the Malzahar coming, so we kind of knew that was going to be in there somewhere. And then
Mhm.
the Sejuani wasn't really a surprise either once the Vi was gone. So we knew that just like the other games, they were probably just going to try to press R buttons on me, and I was just going to have to not die to it. Which is much easier on a Kali with the mobility than it is on some of the other champs. And in terms of bot lane, like Eggy and Cheddar just kind of had pressure the whole time. And
Yeah.
then I went down there to help out, and then when I went and helped out, they took 2 towers off of it, so it was really good.
And that was a huge gold league swing leading into that mid game, making sure that Kaisa stays behind, which obviously, was good so that Kaisa basically carry never saw the light of day when she was kind of the core of their damage. So good stuff. I just have to say though that when I looked at your comp, I was not expecting you guys to play it the way you did, because we'd seen you play a couple front to back team fights and like very team fight oriented objective comps. And then when I saw the Trundle, I was like, oh, okay, this is like a hull breaker, like top lane. He's gonna 1v1 the set. He's gonna like run it down 3 towers. He won't show up to a team fight. That's kind of the world that I envisioned going into this team fight, going into this last game. But rather, you guys just decided to take it full on team fight and outplay, outskilled them sort of micro wise with your abilities. And that's kind of what you're touching on, is just like, yeah, we basically just play around their ultimates and we get our leads bot and mid, and then we kind of roll them with it, steamroll them. So that you guys certainly took me for a surprise for how it was played game three, but I'm glad you did. I'm glad I got to see it before we make it into the playoffs here.
I kind of want to jump off that a little bit from Way, and obviously you guys don't need to be giving away too much. Don't be giving away all your secrets or anything like that. But you did lock in that Trundle pick that he was mentioning very early in the draft. in this third game, as well as the Akali that you were just talking about, decomposition. So was the Trundle, basically my question is the Trundle kind of a flex pick for you guys? Because I know in general he is, but it seems surprising that you would want to lock in a pick like that so early, especially if you always knew that you wanted to play it top lane.
We had 3 people that could flex it, so it's
Okay.
always a flex.
Yeah, I kind of figured. I kind of figured it was something like that, especially with the Ashe lock-in as well. You kind of had a lot of flexibility there with your first phase in the
I
draft.
thought you might take it bot lane. You were gonna do some phrase word.
we weren't
Phrase
sure.
word
Yeah, we definitely were not sure. I want to go back actually a little bit now towards the first game of the night. Of course, the game that you two gentlemen did lose. So, coming out of that first game, you definitely had some moments, especially you, decomposition. I'll give a little shout out to you. Found some great angles on the Vex, even though it wasn't quite enough to get your team over the line in that one. But I kind of just want to hear from you two, what the team mentality was like after that loss, how you guys were able to bounce back and rally and put up those strong performances in games 2 and 3.
Terms of team mentality, we were pretty good. Like there was nothing really, no issue or anything mental wise after game one. We kind of realized like, okay, they're just going to play like a mid lane that has good setup and then a jungler, and they're just gonna kind of turbo mid, which is what they did. And then so besides that, like we just decided to kind of I guess focus more bot side to kind of instead of like being there to counter gank it or whatnot, we decided to just pay attention to bot lane and let Javi kind of focus more down there.
Yeah, I think that your changes, I kind of saw it from game one to game two, where, even though Javi wasn't able to make a great deal happen with the ganks that he was trying to set up, we already saw where the focus had been shifted and your entire team across strategy wise. So basically, what it looked like is just that you found the flaws or you found what they were hedging on, and you sort of went in for those cracks, and you're like, okay, we can take these team fights as long as we get these certain conditions. And then you guys started to play these team fights way better and just start taking them. Like, we were not expecting a lot of the fights to go you guys ways, but you guys somehow always managed to find that way into the game and then find the good angle that you just won more than your opponents. And it was close. It was definitely close. Game one, I actually thought that you guys had figured it out already, like how to approach everything. Because even though they had Yone like snowballed so far, I was like, no, there's no way like 6-item Yone doesn't just claim the game, right? And then decomp, you just pop up and you're like, actually, he's on that Baron. That's all I need. So
Yeah, Vex around the Baron pit is an interesting champion.
Definitely. Speaking of interesting champions, guys, did you both read the patch notes? Do we have some patch note readers here? I had one more question for us.
Yeah,
Yeah, Eggy, you take it. I've been gone for a month.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you have.
Well, basically, my question is, where was Master Yi? He was not picked or banned once tonight, and this guy is giga broken. Why is nobody playing Master Yi? Where was he? What happened?
I mean, it's typically not our playstyle, if I'm honest. We're very team fight oriented, not just like carry one person. So,
Yeah, well, fair enough. Fair enough. You weren't worried that the large Raz were going to pull him out? That wasn't a concern.
we didn't see it really at all in their match histories or from the games they've played in the league. So
Okay.
we expect a lot off of just what we could find for replays, what we saw in the league, what we saw in their match history, and that's what we banned against. And the only difference would be the Yone. They did really well with that, so we had to take that away, and then moved forward, and we were able to take it from there.
Oh, well, maybe we'll see him some in playoffs if he doesn't get hotfix nerfed again. Wait, you got another
You'll
question?
see it with Shrimp Gang, honestly.
Okay, I no doubt in my mind.
I don't want to give away all of their secrets. I want to keep it fresh for the playoffs, so I'm going to let you guys off, but fantastic showing. And thank you for showing up. You can say goodbye to the stream.
Let's hand the mic over to you two for a second. If you've got any shout outs for Twitch chat, if you want to find any suitors for yourselves, now's the time.
Question mark.
None here.
I will say thank you, team. Like Chetta, Javi, Fridge, y'all did amazing. Even though you're not in here with us.
If you guys win the finals, then that's when we do the whole team interview. So there you go.
All
Something
right.
else to play for.
Well, we will hopefully see you guys, and I want to see you guys bring this energy in for the rest of the playoffs. So once again, thank you guys for showing up here and putting on a show for us today.
Congratulations again.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thanks,
There you
guys.
go.
All right. Well, Way, it was a very enjoyable return, if I do say so myself. I had a great time tonight. We had some very entertaining League of Legends, some wild team fights, some absolutely crazy 1v1s as well. Do you have a favorite moment from this evening? Anything stand out to you?
Oh my god. There are actually so many good plays out there that my favorite moment, there's some good ones. There's some that pop into mind immediately. Nothing gets over my head more than Senna staying in the dragon pit for 5 seconds before flashing out.
That really bothered you. I don't know if we can call that your favorite memory necessarily.
I was like, okay. It's
That's
just
the most memorable memory.
What about you?
Well, I did like that reference that those couple of Vex engages in game one, honestly, were pretty incredible. When he was almost able to turn that one around. Also, that Zac ultimate right at the end. I mean, yes, the game was pretty much decided already at that point, but that Zac ultimate was pretty nutty from Javi. But yeah, just a lot of great moments. It was wonderful to cast with you again. One of the first people I ever cast with back when it was still Team Gap, I think. So
yeah, well, us old geezers, I was worried we weren't gonna be able to keep up with this high octane games like we're seeing today. But
yeah,
I was hanging on.
Yeah, I was running out of breath. There a couple of times. It was tough, but we made it through. Hopefully, we'll be able to get back over here more going forward, moving into playoffs and all that good stuff. That will do it for us tonight. So I want to say thank you to everybody watching. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, and we will be back this Saturday for the final day of regular season play here in the Stridebreaker series. Don't miss it. See you then.